with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. It's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. It's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. This thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. You do this thing when I'm talking to you, like everything freezes and it's just you. You do this thing when I'm talking to you, like everything freezes and it's just you. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. Give it to me like without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it.
All right, good evening, people. How we doing? Thank God it is starting to cool down a bit. It has been a muggy, horrendous day in London again, where you just cannot stop sweating it off and having about 3 cold showers in one day. And by the time you get out of the shower, you're already dry before you even dry itself. Not a nice way to be for the day. So I hope everybody's doing well. Let's get this fan up. I mean, more news going on at Spurs. Things really seem to be changing at the moment. And it's very interesting. Now, one thing I do know is that people must be sick to death of this story. Because I must admit, I'm at the point as well where it's like the arguments and the rows about it, time and time again. But just watching what happened the other day, the way we throw the money around, the way we spend it. I've changed my opinions over this. Others haven't. Others never will. Some people just hate too much. Some people think we're just too much emotion. Some people just don't want to see two sides to a story. Some people think there's only one side to a story. It just, the list goes on. Everybody is different, yeah? And that's all I wanted to do tonight. This ain't a debate. This ain't proving a point or something like that. Just for once and once finally, on my own as such, without having one person shouting down my ear and another person shouting down my ear on the other side and everything else. I just wanted to give my side to this story once and for all. Now I know there's going to be a lot of people that disagree. There might be some that agree. And if I'm going to be honest, I don't really care. Because that's all it is my opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. I mean, I've had to even do that, some checking up on it to get some things right that I even had to borrow my bloody wife's notepad. I'm not going to get the numbers right like Sean. I'm not going to get the dates right like Lubo. I just ain't got a good enough memory for that shit. That's why I've had to write a couple of things down. And it's just something I feel that a lot of people only ever want to see one side to this story. I mean, in so many ways, you can argue this point. It's not even a fucking argument, really. It is a fact that we have been held back as a club in so many ways. But then again, there's so many other ways where I don't portray Spurs, again, purely opinion, as this big, massive club like some people do. We never have been. We never have been. Okay. Maybe when we won the league twice. I'm sorry, for me, Elite clubs, big clubs win leagues. They win Champions Leagues, not just cups. Now, you can say we've got quite a tidy cup revenue, basically, in general. But then when it comes to the big stuff, when it comes to the stuff that really matters, we are quite pathetic, really. Probably the most underachieving club in football. We do have a massive fan base. We're one of the biggest clubs in sport on revenue. And that's over the past 5 to 6 years. Before then, really, and even before others bought the club and that, we couldn't keep up with the massive clubs. And if we'd have stayed at White Hart Lane, we'd probably be in more shit than Villa. I mean, one thing that definitely saves the arse is being in London. London does have an attraction. London does bring money. And one thing we have all learned now, and one thing we can all justify and agree on now, money talks. It's proven. It's a proven fact now. Nobody can argue it. Not in my opinion. People can try all they want, but we have just proven money bloody talks. And do not tell me that we just got let me start again. That we just got Tonali purely because he wanted to come to Spurs because he had ambition, yeah? Now, I know De Zerbi had a big pick of that. But do not tell me he came here purely for ambition. Money talks with that one. We outbid teams in that one. Fernandes, again, we got the revenue to go and outdo Manchester United, the third biggest club on this planet in revenue. And we outdone them. Why? And other people are complaining about this. Like that little dickhead on, TalkSport, having a proper cry about it. That why is it we can finish 17th 2 seasons on the trot? Well, we were in the Champions League. And go and throw this money about. How can Spurs do it? Why haven't we done it before? And then how comes these new owners come in, Levy's out, these new owners come in, and it's all about them? We're starting to act like a big club now. We're starting to spend like the money we've got. And it's all down to them. I mean, the most comical side I hear of it is like ENIC 2.0. Like, really? Seriously? Yeah, let's see what we're talking about in a couple of years' time. If I'm going to be totally honest with people here, I think we've got something to look forward to. I think we finally hit that point where we can do something. I think we finally got to that level now where we can spend the money, where we can do the job. The question is going to be, is those people who now have control of this money, are they just doing this to get us back to a stable situation? Or do they really want to take us to the top? Only time's going to tell them that one. But the point I'm going to get to on this is just run through a couple of things. And yes, there's going to be a bit of revenue in it. So if you don't like revenue, you might as well walk on. But there's also going to be the football side to it on how I see it as well. And if we're going to be totally honest with ourselves right here and now, the reason that this club has just been able to walk out there and throw its money about without a care in the world, without selling any players, finishing 17th back-to-back, and probably, if we really wanted to, throw another 300 million about, sell a couple of players, maybe even 400 million. It's because of Daniel Levy. Some people ain't going to like hearing that. Some people are going to... This man is despised at this club. And for justified reasons at that. I used to sit here 3 years ago and say this man, and people ain't going to like this word, but it's the word I have to use for it, is the cancer of the club. I used to say that myself. Now, one thing I think people need to do, a lot of people, is stop thinking with emotion and start trying to think with your head. And if you can't do that, then put some rules on the table and try and go by rules. It's easier than thinking with emotions, because when you think with emotions, you can definitely make the wrong decisions. You can definitely make stupid decisions. Emotions do not do you favors when it comes to thinking. That is why certain people in this world just should not vote. Yeah, because emotions don't do you no favors when it comes to thinking logically. Not in my opinion. And I think a lot of people will agree with that. Yeah. And I can understand why people despise this fella with a passion. Totally understand it. So I'm just going to say hello to a couple of people and then take it from there. And I'm going to have to read through my book while I'm doing it on certain bits because I've had to write down certain things because I just ain't got the memory like Lubo and others. I just ain't got it. I'll admit that. And Daryl Denton, big up fella, how you doing? Only plan Levy had was to get rich for him and Enoch. Good luck defending him. I'm not actually here to defend him. Maybe I portrayed the title wrong. But I believe the man had a plan. Whether the plan was for football, whether the plan was for business, it definitely looks like it was one-sided. So it's not necessarily defending him. As all I am doing is portraying my side on how I see this. Not you, not anybody else, on how I see this whole story. That's all I'm doing. And it's probably going to be one of the last times I actually want to do it. But it definitely interested me as soon as the money went about and doing a little bit of checking up. And also saying for a smart businessman, he didn't half waste a lot of money. Yeah, but you can't say you weren't a shrewd businessman. And Mia, how we doing? Super sticker, thanks a lot, much appreciated. Hope you're doing well. Really enjoyed the show with you and Ellie this morning. And if you haven't done it, go over to Tottenham's Lone Wolf, over to Mia, and definitely sign up and listen to her stuff. Subscribe to her. She will be blunt, she will be blatant, and she will be to the point. Very good to listen to. And also Daryl, also Just Get It, to Zala's as well. And then also Tony, big up Dan and the guest, big up to you too, fella. Hope you're good. And Daryl also saying, fair enough. But he did just say he came for it weren't football side, just fans didn't hear. Yeah, the fact he never adapted was his undoing. I couldn't go with that one as well. And Ghost, how we doing, fella? Big up Dan and Jeff. Big up to you too, and big up to Ghost as well. Big up Jeff. How we doing, Tony? We need a top class goalie. Yes, but people seem to people seem to think that we don't. But this isn't what this one's about. Scott, how we doing, fella? Enjoyed doing the show with you yesterday. And hope you're good, mate. And Ghost, agreed, Dan. Queen Ellie, how are we doing? You look fresh to me, Dan. Thank you very much. I will take that as a compliment. That's 3 fucking cold showers I've had today, and I already feel like I am sweating again. You know, that is just how it is at the moment. I'm going to go for a couple more, and then I'm going to get to this point, because it's going to take me about an hour and a half to get through this, yeah? And I know some people are just not going to like it. Some people might actually find it interesting. Again, certain people like blonde hair, blue eyes. Certain people like black hair, brown eyes. And Razzle, they said it would be over multiple windows, so they opened the can of worms to us all. And we have been lied to so many times. And Levy has gone. Yep, Dan, let's not pretend like Levy would have got Fernandez and Snarley. I'm not saying Enoch are a saviour, but there is a difference. But then don't tell me it wouldn't have happened, because you don't know that, and neither do I. But I must admit, I do agree. I don't think it would have happened. That was probably one of this man's weakest spots. When it came to the crunch, I'll get to my point in a minute. I'll say hello to a couple more. And Anton Pollard, how you doing? Dan, do you think the board are covering their arse, spending money because they're 2-year finishes, finishing 17th, or spending to blame Levy? Now, this is a point I'm going to get to. Only time is going to tell whether these lot are spending to cover their ass, or to blame Levy, or to do this and that, or because they are shitting their pants because we just literally got 2 points or wherever it was from relegation. Are they going to bring us to stability and then leave it at that, like we have been for a very, very long time? Or are they going to actually try and take us to the next level? Are we actually spending money now because Daniel Levy isn't here? I don't think no one can say yes, but I don't think no one can say no either, yeah? But the other side of it as well is, with history, it does show that he didn't really do it. But then my question is, did he actually have the money in his back pocket, like there is the money sitting there now, to actually go and do it? Because there was always someone more important than him upstairs. And that was Mr. Joe Lewis, who doesn't even turn up to a game at a fucking season at the best of times, yeah? I'm not saying he wasn't the part of the problem. Levy was part of the problem, but he wasn't the problem. Too many people seem to have it in their head, in my opinion, that he was the problem. No, there was more problems at Spurs, bigger problems at Spurs. So many problems at Spurs. And so many of us saw it from different angles. That was the biggest problem. That was the biggest problem. This was the biggest problem. But when you actually sat back and looked at it, everybody was right. Because each and every fucking one of them was a problem. It's just people portray it as what is the bigger problem. Again, each their own. He wasn't the sole problem at Spurs. And we are going to see if this lot are covering it with this ENIC 2.0 bullshit and everything else. We will see. And Levy has gone as well. No one questions Levy's value to the building, the finances. The reality is he didn't have the ambition to succeed on the pitch. It's a fair point. I can't argue that. But I'm not here to argue. I'm just here to give my side of the story. Marks, how we doing, Cookie? Great to see you. Good evening, one and all. And then Ellie, I'll come to you. And I don't hate Daniel Levy. I just think he's an incompetence the way he run our club on the football side of things. He got so much wrong and let us down in so many ways. I haven't got the space here. Fair points. Totally agree. And then Danny K as well. Hi, Danny. You doing all right, sugar tits? I'm all right, darling. Hope you're all right, sweetheart. Hope everything's going well for you as well, mate. I don't know what it's like in Holland, but I doubt it's very cold out there. And Pure Coys, good to see you, Nige. Evening, Dan and chat. Things are looking good. Now we get that forward line sorted. Right. And Spurs King, as a fan base, we need to move on from Levy. I totally agree. 100% agree. But I'm just doing this show because I want to portray my side of it and then leave it at that, basically. And Kev, how we doing, fella? Big up, Dan. Hope you're well. And also saying Messi showing ways to go again. Yes, he did. And needs 7974. Good evening, Dan and chat. Right. Last one. We've got a double mega deal for the shirt and stadium name in the near future. To sort out, we needed to act like a big club to attract big sponsors. We couldn't go on with Levy. Now, that one I do agree with. I think this man took us as far as he actually could. Now, when they took over at Spurs, ENIC blatantly said to everybody, this is a business. We want business. And I do believe there was a plan there. Did it go right all the time? Of course it didn't. Yeah. But I suppose I'm putting my head on the line here, yeah, on the chopping block or whatever, because I know so many people are going to disagree with this, yeah. But I'm just not willing to take this lazy line that Levy did nothing for the club. Nothing at all. I do actually think there was a plan there from day. Again, some people might say it's crazy, but I'm just portraying this from my side. I do actually think there was a plan. Do I think it was meant to be over 25 years? No. Do I think we got held back in a lot of ways? Yes. Do I think on the football side, we definitely didn't live up to standards? Well, the stats say it all. We are one of the most underachieving clubs in the world. I have this debate with Ellie all the time, and I'm sorry, for me, cups don't talk, leagues talk, Champions League talks, and even Everton and Aston Villa and Sunderland bury us under the table when it comes to leagues. 2 leagues, and that was 70 years ago. So we was winning more cups before we got within it taking over. I totally agree with that. But they blatantly come in and said, this is the business side. And the fans didn't really argue it. And over due time, fans got very pissed off, and still fans did not fight for what they wanted. And it got to the point where ENIC basically had too much power that you couldn't even fight him. But on the football side, we're a football club. We want to win things as a football club. We want to do things as a football club. This is what we support. We support Tottenham Hotspur. Same like I say when I don't support players, I support the club. I don't care about throwing players under the bus and ruining their careers if we sell them. I don't give a fuck about the youth academy and everything else if they can't play football on the pitch. I honestly don't care. Loan them all out and then sell them like Chelsea do. I honestly don't care. But I'm allowed to have that attitude, whereas other people totally adore the younger players, whatever, again. But we're meant to be a football club. And we haven't acted like a football club for a very long time. I can go with that one. I can understand that one, and I believe that one as well. Under Levy, 25 years that man was here. 25 fucking years. But the trophy return, it just did justify nothing, did it? I mean, what was it? We won the League Cup in, when was it? 2007? 2008, I think it was. Yeah, 2008. Like, I just ain't as good at exact dates as others. 2008, I'm pretty sure it was. And that was that. For years, we had nothing. We won nothing. We just had players, we had managers, we had moments, but we just had no silverware. And this is what definitely got to the fans. And I can totally understand this because it pissed me off over the years as well and everything else. But one thing I will say with Spurs, we have never been anything more than a cup club. That is all we have ever been, a cup club. We have never been a big club, an elite club, should I say, in my opinion, because elite clubs win leagues. They win Champions Leagues. They consistently win things. We didn't even consistently win things. We was winning things every 10 years. That's not consistently what a big club does. That's not consistent. Yeah, we had our little time where we won the leagues back to back. Yes, we were the first team to go and win it in 1980, like UEFA and all this and everything. Bollocks these days, yeah? That's history. Yeah, history is what brings it to a club, but I'm sorry, it is irrelevant now, yeah? It's going to go down in the history books and everything. But what player that comes here tomorrow actually gives a toss that we won the FA Cup 8 times many years ago, that we won the UEFA Cup in 1984? Who cares? They don't care. So to an extent, to me, it's irrelevant because it ain't got no say in the future. You can't change the past, but you can have a say in the future. So we have not had enough silverware for years now, yeah? And the look on Daniel Levy, the way I've always looked on it, I used to despise the man with a passion, same as a lot of people. But then I just tried looking at it from both sides of a story. He always got heavy criticism of the fans with the trophies, with the wage policy. Now, I believe the wages were one of the main things that held us back personally. But again, was this actually down to Levy? Or did he just do what he could do with the money he was given with the man upstairs who just was not willing to spend the money? Now, we all know Levy was part of ENIC. We all know this, yeah? But he weren't the owner of ENIC. He was part of it. The main man is Joe Lewis upstairs. If he's not putting the money into the club, how was Levy meant to go and do anything? Maybe he could only work with what he had. I don't know. And yes, he screwed up many a time. No two ways about it. One of his biggest problems is, as a shrewd businessman as such, is he always liked to win that fucking deal. He always liked to walk off with that extra 5 million in the back pocket that he'd just got a deal over and that, yeah? He always liked to do that sort of thing. And that, for me, was one of his biggest downfalls. We lost out on a lot of, significant players, mainly, in my opinion, because of wages. And then how many players have we bought for significant money but they've got poor wages, basically, compared to what other big players have? So it's sort of like a catch-22 sort of thing. How do you get out of it? Was this all down to him just being a tight bastard? Or was this just down to Levy having to deal with the money he was given by the main owner of the club, Joe Lewis? I don't know. I think no one's going to know. But when they bought Spurs, if I look this up, I mean, they bought a percentage of it. But round about, so what was it, 20 million, 22 million they put into the percentage of it. And that made Spurs valued at something like, what was we valued at? 65, 70 million, something along those lines. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to get numbers perfect. Now look at how much Spurs are worth. We are on the revenue of what we are worth, not just revenue we bring in, but what we are worth is round about, at a guess, this is more of a random guess. I know it's around this number, £4 billion. It might be 3.8, it might be 4.2. So I'm just going with 4 billion. Yeah, £4 billion. And we have never been a massive club. I will never accept that. As all we have been is this cup winning club. Yes, we've got very big support. Yes, we are in London. Yes, you will always go around the world and find more Spurs supporters than Aston Villa, than Newcastle, than stuff like that, than say Nottingham Forest, Sunderland. List goes on. But as all we've ever been is this cup club. We have never been known for being the elite club that goes out and wins things. Never. Never has it happened, bar maybe once or twice, 60, 70 years ago, and then maybe that UEFA Cup. But we are now worth £4 billion. 4 billion. That's how much more on what was paid for that? That's like nearly 50, 40, 50, 60. Right. The percentage is stupid on that, on how much we are worth now. The growth of this club. But we left the football bit aside. But the growth of the club and what it's worth now, you've got to give credit to Levy for it, the way I see it. Because if you're going to run him under the table with everything, you've also got to give some credit there. I mean, there is a point to the end of this, but I'm just trying to run through it so people try and understand the way I see it. And on the football side of things, I think a lot of the anger from me, and I can probably vouch for other people, but I'm not going to give names, yeah, it's things like when we had Luka Modric and we go and lose into Real Madrid. When was that? 2010, 2011, 2012, I think that was, or 2013, something along those lines. And we go and sell him to Real Madrid. Because all I can say of that is like, thank fuck we didn't sell him to Chelsea because they wanted it. We always lost our star players. Michael Carrick, Gareth Bale, who went to Real Madrid for a world record fee at the time. What was that? 90 million, something along those lines, 85 million, whatever it was. Harry Kane, we've lost in the field. People, the list can go on. Carl Walker. We've always lost our star players. We've always been bullied. Or if we let ourselves be bullied. No. We've always been bullied as a club because we have never been a big club. An elite club. We have never been a club that can go out there and bring in the sort of revenue that can keep up with a Liverpool, that can keep up with a Man United, that can keep up with what AC and Inter was, a Juventus, a Barcelona, a Real Madrid, Arsenal. I mean, we used to keep up with Chelsea until they got the oil owners in, and then pretty much everyone was fucked, wasn't it? We have never been this big club that has been able to not accept a deal at the end of the day. We didn't get the job done, but a lot of the time, when it came to the revenue side of things, we couldn't keep up with them, and we never actually could. But people seem to push that bit aside. Now, I think when you look at the whole thing, the way I'm seeing it is you have to see two sides of it. Now, whether people like this or people, it bores people, whatever, well, I'm sorry these days, but if we are going to sit here and be realistic, football isn't a sport anymore. Not to me. Football is a business. The business side of football, the business side of sport is bigger than the actual sport itself. Yes, the sport brings in the revenue, the watchers and everything else. But when it comes to the sport, when it comes to the money, that is what it's all about. It's not about heart and passion anymore. It's not about players loving clubs anymore. It's about players wanting money. It's about clubs wanting money. It's about everything wants money. It's a business now. That is what it is. We are not in 1965 anymore. We are not in 1984, 1990. This is 2026. And this is where some people just have to accept money is what makes the world go round. Like it or fucking lump it. I don't like it. But everything has a price on its head. Not necessarily in money, but everything has a price. And we just couldn't keep our very best players for not winning things, but for also the fact that we just did not have that power to compete with things like that, especially with a knackered little old stadium like White Hart Lane. Lovely place. I worked there when I was 18, 19 on the south stand. South stand. You know, just a little student on there searching the people before they come in and that. Lovely place, lovely atmosphere and everything and that. But the place was getting burnt out. And there was no way we could bring in the same sort of revenue that other places did. And then you can argue that Levy did fail to keep the best players, and we just got bullied all the time. Was that down to where Levy, Enoch, but I just related to Levy, had no ambition for the football side? Or was it just down to the side that we just didn't have the fucking money to do it? Was it actually down to the side that even though we had a multi-billionaire as our owner with no FFP rules and all that fucking shit, that they just would not give him the money that he needed to do his job? And he just had to make do with what we made and what was possibly given to him. I don't know. Does anybody really know? I'm sure there's one or two people like on YouTube who think they know a fucking ITK who knows the business and that, but you're always going to find them everywhere. I mean, but it's where the debate or the talk almost gets uncomfortable for some people. Those sales and us losing those players fucking hurt. When we lost Michael Carrick, I was gutted. When we lost Berbatov, I was absolutely livid. I was more livid when we lost Berbatov than when we lost Modric. I just loved Berbatov as a player. I'm not saying he was better, whatever else, but I'm just saying he was a player I personally loved him on the pitch. I was absolutely fucking fuming when we lost him. But how the fuck are we going to keep him against Man United and what they were? We weren't going to win the leagues. We weren't big enough to do it. We never have been big enough to do it. We had a chance and we failed, but that's to a later point I'll get to. Yes, we could win cups, but I can turn around and say anybody can win a cup. Newcastle and Crystal Palace just proved that. Anybody can win a cup. And now and again, you'll get a freak of nature like Leicester that wins a league over us. So, with the way I see it, the emotional fans always saw our best players leaving, like me. You think with your emotions, you don't think we're ahead at the time, you're pissed that the player went. Financially, we just could not keep up with it. We always got bullied, and that just pissed people off no end. It looked like we always just got screwed over big time. We were just a selling club at one point, and that's what we were. But were we this selling club because Daniel Levy just wanted to make money? Or were we this selling club because we just did not have the fucking money to compete with people? Especially with little old White Hart Lane, which was starting to fall apart. Was it that? We just don't know. So when you go back to the football side, yeah, I'll cut out a long part of it and I'll go Poch. He didn't exactly get backed. Not really. We got some very good players. I mean, people tell me like about Alderweireld, one of my favourite defenders. Quality defender he got given. Established. No. He weren't good enough at Atletico Madrid and got put to fucking Southampton on loan. And we took him from there. He was known, but he weren't established as a great player. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been at fucking Southampton on loan from Madrid. I know people are going to disagree with that, but that's just the way I see it, yeah? And then we had other players come through, like Walker, like Rose. We also had Dembele. And then we started getting things like Son. Kane started coming through the ranks. And there was other players as well, yeah? Not going to name the whole team. But all of a sudden, it looked like we meant business. But if you want to look at it realistically, it weren't because we threw the money about. It was because we actually spent it wisely, which is one thing we don't do at the fucking club, yeah? And Poch literally turned us into a machine where we came that close. That bloody close. A Champions League final. Always in the top four for about 4 or 5 years. It looked like we was actually getting somewhere as a club. And then that is where we really fucked up. Because we could have took it further than that. And Levy didn't. And this is one of the main things people despise about it. He didn't take it that step further. But again, this was at the time that a stadium was being built, if I remember correctly. Now, that's no excuse, because we went a year and a half without buying any fucking players. That is disgusting. That was embarrassing. Total embarrassing. And we fell to pieces again. Poch fell to pieces. And it's where Levy's failure comes in again on the sports side, because it looks like he was always more interested on the business side. But then we got that stadium, building that stadium. £1 billion roughly we spent on that stadium. Some people said we spent over 200 million over the top on it. Yes, yes, yes. Some people say we're still paying it off. You're like, no shit, Sherlock. Has anyone actually ever bought a fucking house and paid a fucking mortgage? Of course you're going to be paying it off. But have you seen how much we actually paid that off at? Under 30 million a year. Yeah, that's tuppence money. Seriously. We make that more in revenue just on fucking concerts. Just on that stadium. It's not a problem. It pays itself. So now I get to the point where I think Levy, was he portraying this as a whole plan ahead for the future? For the business side, for the sports side, whatever way he was doing it, it was to bring in the money. We know that. So why didn't we throw this money about earlier? I mean, it's not just a football ground, the place we've got. We haven't even sold the fucking names to it yet. The entire, we had that 6 years now, and we ain't even sold the names to it as such. But you look at some of the deals we've got with that place and the revenue we get with that place. When we are Tottenham Hotspur, who don't win fuck all, who don't win leagues. Okay, we won a Europa Cup. Well done. How can we even call ourselves one of the top six when we've never won leagues twice? When we've never won Champions Leagues, when we've never done the big things, we've never done the big boy things, but we seem to call ourselves a big club because we've won a few FA Cups. These days, we're at the point where an FA Cup don't mean fuck all. It's nice to win it, same as a League Cup, but again, this is how I portray it, because it don't do nothing for you. Gets you in the Europa Cup. Sadly, getting in the top four gets you further. If you want to build your club, getting in the top four, like Levy always wanted to get us in the top four, more, but like what he did with Mourinho was pretty disgusting as well. Sacked him because Mourinho was more interested in winning the cup than getting in the Champions League. Another thing where he fucked right up. Because you keep getting in that Champions League, you keep getting money, more money. What you get in the FA Cup? 3 million, 4 million? Yeah, well done. That's going to take you a long way, isn't it? You want to make your club bigger. What is actually going to get you further? 10th place and winning the FA Cup for 3 years on the trot, or top four for 3 years on the trot and winning nothing. It shouldn't be like this, but it's like I said, money is what makes the world go round. Finishing in that top four, if your club is willing to use it wisely, will take you much further as a club than winning the FA Cup for 5 years on the trot. I know people want to see cups, people want to see things. Yes, so do I. But if you want Tottenham to go further as a club, we need that Champions League more than we need the FA Cup. Players are not going to come to Spurs because of an FA Cup that we've won for 3 years on the trot. Players will come to Spurs if we are in the Champions League consistently. If we are maybe even fighting for a title. If we are starting to get to quarterfinals and semi-finals in the Champions League. They ain't going to come to us because we won a fucking FA Cup. Not a big player. Again, money talks. And that stadium, I feel we could have been doing something 2 years ago. But once we built that stadium, the way I look at it, I think COVID actually held us back a bit. It held everyone back. You can say it held everyone. But we had just built a £1 billion stadium, for fuck's sake. You can say it also saved Arteta's career, in my opinion, yeah? But I think COVID definitely held everyone back and definitely held us back with that stadium. So we had to make a lot of money back on that. They gave us this so-called bullshit story, which it has looked bullshit for a long time now. Levy gave us the bullshit story, Enoch, whatever way you want to put it, of we are going to start getting big vision and keep up with the big boys now. This stadium's going to get us to the top, is what I'll say. Or up there with the Man U's, up there to fight with Liverpool, up there to fight with Arsenal, City, Chelsea, up there to get in the Champions League, every league. That's what this stadium was there for. But up until the other day, up until the other week, It hasn't done that. But all of a sudden it does. All of a sudden we have got the money to spend there. Is that because Daniel Levy fucked off? Or is that because we finally got the amount of revenue in where we can spend very, very safely? With all the FFP rules and everything. I mean, how the fuck were we going to keep up with Chelsea or anything like that with all the oil money and all that? No one could do that. But one thing you got to give Levy, a very smart man in that aspect, which couldn't have been easy to do for a businessman. Because me personally, I'd have gone to the cheating side like, fuck it, if they can do it, I can do it. I want to win, so I'm going to cheat as well. But look how it's starting to bite people in the arse with this FFP. I mean, how much debt is Aston Villa going to get for fucking up and doing something like 90% of their revenue on bloody wages or whatever the problem is? Is it 90 million or 60 million? I don't know. It's a hell of a lot of millions. Newcastle, the richest club on the planet. They can't do shit. They are owned by trillionaires and they can't do nothing. How much of a head fuck must that be? That is what we have been going through for a long time. But is that all Daniel Levy's fault? Or is it because we just genuinely didn't have the revenue or he didn't get the money from upstairs? We've basically been making significant money off that stadium now for 4 years, I think. I'm sure people will tell me if I'm wrong here. Around about 4 years, the consistency has started to come in. Of over 500 million a year. And then we get the concerts. Then we've got the NFL. Then we've got the fucking go-kart tracks. The blueprints are there. We are at Spurs, and have been for a couple of years now, probably the biggest sleeping giant in football. Now, I know a lot of fans will look at that of other clubs and say, mate, you're tripping. Fuck off. No. And this is where it really bugs me and bugs us, and this is where you end up fucking having the ump with this fella, where he fucked it up many times with her. Even when we went for big players. I mean, Ndombele, example. He was one of the most wanted in Europe. So was it actually Levy picking out these players and going for them, or was it just he kept getting a shit scouting system? Either way, he's got to take the blame somewhere now. No two ways about it. He's the one who picks the managers. Who picks the scouts? I don't know on that one, honestly. Is it the managers? Is it bloody owner and everything? And we go and get something like Ndombele for 55 million or whatever it was that totally falls apart. I mean, fucking hell. Talk about run us under the table, yeah? And then we go and spend monies like 50 million on fucking Richarlison's. What the fuck are you doing, mate? Because we wouldn't pay the wages. We kept it tight and we kept it honest. We go and do things like Solanke. But he did it honest. Not many businessmen do that. Like I've said, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, yeah? And to get to the top, if you've got to do it shrewd, you've got to do it shrewd. If everyone else is cheating, why don't you? By the look of things, the way it looks now, is the man didn't cheat. He done it the right way. Chelsea got to the top dirty. So did Man City. I've got more respect for Arsenal as a football club than I have for Chelsea. Why? Because Arsenal earned their name. Man U earned their name, even though they're bully clubs. Liverpool earned their name. PSG, did they earn their name? Fuck off, did they? Inter Milan, AC Milan, Juventus. I don't know. You know what I mean? That was probably the most corrupt league in football at one point, Syria. But my point is, those clubs earned their name. Other clubs just come in and went bang, threw the money about. And then the FFP comes in and all the other revenue rules and all the other shit. Levy actually stuck to the rules here. And we have spent the money. It's just we don't spend wisely. So he deserves a lot of shit for that, yeah? I mean, how many managers have we had at the club now? I mean, since what? Poch, Mourinho, Nuno, Conte, Ange, Frank, De Zerbi, and the list goes further and further backwards as well. You keep changing the manager of everything, and some people act shocked when the squad just looks confused. I've been one of the first to rate into some of these managers and tear them apart, same as others has. Some loved Thomas Frank, some didn't like him, some loved Ange, some didn't like him. And this is what fans do. And yes, this goes on Levy's head as well. A lot of it on the sports side will end up going on his head. You can't argue that, yeah? But the way I do actually look at this, yeah, he fucked up in a lot of ways. But he did get a couple of things right in the sport, just not many. But I think what actual Daniel Levy has done for us is build us this platform, give us the blueprints. And some of his last words on that last thing he said, what was it he said? The fans will appreciate me when I'm gone. No one's gonna, not many are gonna particularly love him. But then if these new owners mean business, this is where revenue matters. And I know people don't like fucking revenue. I do, actually. It interests me a hell of a lot. I like that sort of stuff. I like fucking about the credit cards, APR, how things work, money-wise and all that. I know some people just want to see the football side, and that's totally understandable. It's football. That's what people want to see. But again, like it or lump it, money is what talks. And I know it bores people with revenue, but tough shit. Revenue is what football clubs can spend. Now, I have to look at my book for this one. I mean, what was it? In the 2025, our revenue was something along the lines, I'm sure someone will tell me if I'm a millionaire or whatever, was 565 million total revenue and other income on top of that. 2024, 528 million. 2023, 549 million. For a big club like Spurs, not an elite club, just a big club. Like I said, we don't win the leagues. So we've been basically sitting about, and it's been fucking frustrating, the £500 million revenue a year. Not paying the wages, not buying the big players, not going into it big time. And people have been sitting there like, why the fuck do we always act like this poor little club that basically shops at Lidl's when we should be shopping at House of Fraser? Is that down to Daniel Levy? Or is it that he did actually have a plan to take it so far and then go bang? Or is it the fact that we just finished 17th and he's not here and the owner's got shit scared? We ain't going to know until about 3 years' time whether these owners mean business or not. Like I said to people, you might not give a fuck about revenue, but look at the Premier League rules. They do give a fuck about revenue. Look at the UEFA rules. They do give a fuck about revenue. Look at the transfer market. It's fucking off key. Players, agents, revenue is the fuel. Is the fuel the right way? Yeah. Revenue is what you put in your car, basically. Money makes the world go round. Money fucking talks. And if you ain't getting the revenue in there, you ain't spending the fucking money. Aston Villa, Newcastle, like they're bitching off at the moment about it. Now, for about 4 years straight now coming up, we've actually had the consistent revenue coming in there. Putting all this aside, what's happened in the past, or what hasn't happened, I can totally understand the sports side, how he fucked up so many times. I can totally understand the sports side of things on how we wanted and expected more. But what right did we really have before we had that stadium to sit up and say we should be winning Champions Leagues, we should be winning leagues, we should be doing this, when we've only ever fucking won the league twice? But I suppose that's what you call ambition. And that's one thing the fella looked like he never had, did he? He never had ambition. He always wanted to fucking pocket a pound. He always wanted to save a pound. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, nobody saw this shit coming. Nobody saw this coming. We all knew there was going to be a bit of money spent and there had to be some sort of rebuild here, yeah, because of the shit we was in. Whether you want to say Daniel Levy put us here. Well, Daniel Levy weren't even here. He was gone. Baked potato. See you later, mate. He was off. He was fucked off. And the others were in it. And people was actually complaining about the new fellas we've got more than fucking Daniel Levy. This is where it gets amusing for me. And all of a sudden, we go and slam 85 million on the table and the wages and go and put Man United under the floor. How the fuck did we do that? And then with Arsenal and City interested in Tonali, bang, 100 million on the table. Finishing 17th 2 years on the trot. We are one of the only teams in football that can sustain itself, and not win nothing, and not sell nothing. Not like Chelsea, use their youth academy very smartly and sell it like Man City do, and other clubs get their consistent money in through Champions League and everything. Now go and take some of those other clubs. I mean, Man U just make the fucking money, but look at this lot. What's coming? They're going to have to build a new stadium because their stadium was fucked. Liverpool building a new part of their stadium. You look at all the other clubs out there, yeah, the Aston Villas, the Newcastles, everything. If anyone now wants to start bringing in the same revenue as Spurs, they're going to all have to build new stadiums. Like they said it on TalkSport, they're going to have to start doing concerts. They're going to have to start doing boxing events. They're going to have to start doing shit because they can't keep up with us. But again, it's going to come down to the owners, what they want to do. But we are now in this position, especially when Man U have to start building that stadium as well. Depending what happens to Man City with these 112 problems that they've got, whether they even get fucking fined for it, I don't know, whatever and that, yeah. Chelsea got to be careful now because the eyes are on them. Yes, they've had their little fine, but the eyes are on them. Not even Arsenal can keep up with us with stadium revenue. We got the biggest money factory, if that's what you want to call it. It fucking pumps out money. Like I said, Formula One for 15 years. We make over 5 or 6 million on a match day. Only Man United do that. NFL deals. There is no NFL game that can be played in this country unless it is Tottenham Hotspur. Because of the contract with them, and because we have got the only stadium capable of doing it. And then you've got everything else that goes with it. Daniel Levy did that. So are we now at this point where it's basically, with the business point of it, the Spurs Stadium is just built for events, like I said. Over 30 major events, which is, from what I read, going to go up to 50 major events and everything. And like I said, all the NFL stuff, all the Formula One stuff and everything. Some people can laugh at it. I don't care about business. I want football. I understand that. I want to win things as well. But whether you like it or not, like I keep saying, revenue is football. Without the fucking revenue, you can't do shit. That's one of the most important parts. Now, this does not justify some of our failure over the years. Not at all. This man fucked up royally in many, many, many ways. But look at where we are now. In a lot of ways, I don't care how many NFL games we host or how many events we have there, whatever else. Of course we don't. That is why a lot of fans are angry, because we want to win things. We actually want to be an elite club, which we never have been. Never. Bar maybe 2 years of our lives. But it's all there for the taking. It's all there to be done now. Is it now to the point that on the business side that this fella took us as far as he could? I mean, look at the revenue side of it and that again, of what you can spend of the money that comes in. I mean, what is it? Something like you're allowed to spend, is it 75 or 80% of the football related revenue that comes in, something along those lines. And you look at the revenue we make. I keep going back to it. I know it must be a bit annoying, but it's what talks. Look at the money we make now on the revenue, what we can go out and do. Villa can't touch us. Newcastle can't touch us. Man U are going to be in severe trouble with revenue soon because they've got to build that whole Old Trafford. Liverpool, if I'm right here, are going to build part of the stadium. There's another part of it they want to build. And other clubs, if they just want to keep up with the revenue, but fucking Chelsea ain't going to keep up with that shitty little stadium. They have to be in events and winning things or whatever. Are we actually at this point now where the owners did get that scared, but they are now willing to spend the money. How far do these new owners take us? How far do they want to actually take us? That is the question. The mad thing is about Levy's best argument and his worst argument. It both comes from football, really, yeah? I mean, we are now at a stage where if we really want to do things, we can actually become a powerhouse. On the commercial side of things, we can actually go out there and we can actually act like one of the big boys. I mean, with Tottenham, if you go and take 2 bits of paper, a book, and you write down the football side on one side, any club in the world, and then you go write down the business side. Now split them apart. Put the football side over there. You go read this revenue side that I keep talking about. You would put us up there with Munich, with the Milans, with Real Madrid, with Barcelona, with Man City, with Man U, with Chelsea, with Liverpool, with Arsenal. Sure you would, on the business side. But when you look at us on the business, when you look at us on the football side, you look at that and you think, what the fuck? How is that? And that, it don't match. Because we've never been this elite club. Can you blame Levy for that? Maybe. But we was never this elite club before Levy came into the bloody club. We was always a cup-winning club. Nothing more, nothing less. So if we do actually go out there and start spending the money, and I know there's a lot of people saying Levy did nothing, well, that's just bollocks. He built the stadium that he's going to bring the money in. Are we actually going to spend the money now, yeah? Now, people can argue that it's only attractive because it's in London. Well, no shit, Sherlock. We're a club from fucking London. And he has gone and done something that if ENIC 2.0 really want to do, they can really take us up to the next level now. Because there's some other teams out there that are going to be struggling for money. So the question I've got with it and the take I've got with it on all of this is, what was actually Daniel Levy that much of a wrong? On the sports side, you can definitely say there weren't no favours there. But that's the past. We can't do fuck all about that. If in 4 years' time we're still spending the money all of a sudden that we can spend now, and we are starting to get up there with the big boys and starting to actually fight, getting the Champions League consistently again, fight for a league, get in the top 4 and win an FA Cup. Nothing wrong with that, but you've got to get in the top 4 first. It's more important than a bloody FA Cup. And we start doing that, and we start throwing the money about. And then other clubs can't do it because they ain't got the fucking revenue. Other clubs can't do it because they're building stadiums. Other clubs can't do it because they just have not got the fucking shit to do it. And all of a sudden, if we look at this realistically, if we have actually woken up these new owners, well, new owners, you know what I'm saying, ENIC 2.0, if they have actually fucking woken up now, yeah, it's all there for the taking. I didn't even mention the training facilities that you've got for us. Some of the best in the world in football. Stadiums, everything. It's there. It's there for the taking. Everything is there for the taking. The blueprint is fucking written. It's there. I mean, if you want to build a house, you've got to have something to build a house on. So if we really mean business and go and do this, is anyone actually going to sit here and put some of the shit aside where he did bring shame to the club and he did fuck up on the football side many a time? Got a couple of things right, but mainly fucked it up. Are people actually going to be able to put this aside? Or are people actually going to look back and think, fucking hell, even though he fucked up on everything like that, look at where we are now. Are people actually ever going to be able to look in the future? If this all goes right, by the way, with ENIC 2.0. The only reason ENIC 2.0 was able to do what they did the other week, was because of one man, Daniel Levy. Because he was the one who made everything, who orchestrated everything for the amount of revenue we can come in. Yes, Joe Lewis ain't running the shit no more. He's probably still connected, but it's his family, it's his kids that are old enough to be my grandparents. But the reason we can spend it and spend 400 to maybe 500 million, and FFP don't even butter a fucking eyelid at us, is why? Because of Daniel Levy. Now, I'm not trying to justify nothing. I'm just putting this across on how I see it. Now, again, I know to a lot of people, it's just going to be the side of, I don't give a fuck. I want to win trophies. He fucked us up over the years. He did this and that. I am not arguing with that point with nobody. A year and a half of not buying players is fucking disgusting. We should have built on that Champions League. Would we have bought these players with Daniel Levy here? Probably not. Do you know why? Because he just still tried to get a fucking £5 million off the deal. So I'm not going to argue that bit either. But the only reason they was able to go out and go, oh, Fernandes, Man U, 65 million. Just shut up, Man U. There's 75 million on the table. Shut the fuck up and piss off. The only reason we was able to go out to Tonali and do exactly the same thing for nearly 100 million was because of what Daniel Levy has built for the club. The blueprints. It's all there. So if you're going to run a man into the ground, which he deserves well and truly, surely you've got to give it credit as well. Doesn't it work both ways? Or does it only work to the way it suits you? To certain people. Because I know certain people on this topic are just narrow-minded. They only ever want to see it one way. Now, do you know what? Not just this topic, football as a whole. That's one thing I've definitely learned on YouTube, yeah? Some people seem to be embarrassed to change their opinion. And I've changed my opinion on this over. Call me a flip-flop, call me what the fuck you want. I don't care. I put my hands up when I'm wrong. Give me a different opinion even. Do you know what? If I like your opinion, I'll put my hands up to it and say, do you know what? I'll back off on that one. That's a fair opinion. Some people, you might as well talk to a fucking brick wall. Some people are just, they live with emotions too much. They think with emotions too much. And they just hate. It's a word I don't even have in my life, except with Brussels sprouts. Because nothing will ever have that power in my life to have hate in my life. You know, just as powerful as love. You will do the same things for hate that you will do for love, but in a totally different way. Emotions don't control me. I live by rules because I don't even understand a lot of emotions in a lot of ways. That's just a problem I've got. But where so many people are sentimental over this, and so many people just really only ever want to see things in their way, they will never, ever, ever, ever change their minds. Not on just this, on anything. Some people, like I said, you might as well talk to a fucking brick wall with some people. But then some people are willing to listen. You don't have to agree. You don't have to change your mind. But try and see two sides to a story here. Try and actually sit back and look at two sides to a story. There's two sides to this story. Did Daniel Levy have a plan from day one? Yeah, they did. And they said it as well. We bought this for the business. We're going to make this a business. Football is about business. Football's about money. That's all life's about now. Yes, we lost out on a lot of things. And he deserves every bit of fucking shit he gets for it, yeah? But we are now at that stage where we can actually swing the big bollocks if we really want to. So if we don't go and do this now, who do we blame now? You can't blame Daniel Levy. He's not here. So who do we blame now? Do we blame ENIC 2.0? Do we blame Lange? Get that fucker out of the club. I can't stand it. Yeah. Do we blame Vianney? I fucking can't pronounce that prick's name. Who do we blame? You've always got to blame someone. Someone's always got to take the blame, isn't they? Which is understandable. So who do we blame? When it's blatantly obvious that Daniel Levy has built the basement of this club and made it so that we can go out there and compete with the biggest of the biggest clubs on this world if we want to. If ENIC want to. If Tottenham Hotspur Football Club want to. We haven't even fucking sold the stadium name yet. There's another 200 million, 300 million, 150 million in the back pocket as well. It's there for the taking. Everything is there. And I think this is why a lot of people have been so frustrated. Me included. But it's all there for the taking for one reason. Daniel Levy. And whether people like to accept it or not, and like me keep saying his fucking name, it's true. It's a fact. It's not an opinion. This one's not an opinion. It's a fact. Or are people now going to start saying, yeah, well, that weren't Levy, it's so-and-so who done it. Fuck off. That's just being narrow-minded. Whether the haters or the people that are back him all the way or the people that would defend, because I've seen people defend this man to the fucking hilt and not even say he's done anything wrong. No. I don't go with that one. I'm a bit of a fence on this one. I see both sides of this story. So I know people are sounding like, probably saying that it sounds like I'm defending him. To an extent, maybe, because I'm looking at the other side, what a lot of people don't look at. We are, in my opinion here, and I don't think anyone's going to argue with this point, the biggest sleeping giants in football. And we have been for a while now. But that's only for one reason. Two reasons. Daniel Levy and that stadium. Aston Villa will never ever keep up with us. Not in revenue. Nor will Newcastle. Nor will any fucking Northern club, except Liverpool, Man City, and Man U. And then when Man U have to build that new stadium, they're going to be in a bit of trouble. Because that new stadium, how are you going to build an Old Trafford of like, what is it, 85,000? Yeah. This stadium, go and build it now, you're talking at about 2.5 billion. Revenue has gone up, mate. Money has gone up. Everything costs more money. Lead, fucking metal, fucking mayonnaise costs £5.50 for God's sake, yeah? How much would that stadium cost now? Does anyone agree with 2.5 billion, 2 billion? Let's just say double the money for the fun of it, yeah? What the fuck have Man U got to do to build their stadium? I'd say 2-3 billion at least. I ain't a businessman. Call that a random guess, but Old Trafford is one of the most historic, biggest stadiums in football because they ain't going to be able to fix the fucking thing because it's falling apart. They are literally going to have to build a new stadium. So on the FFP and everything else and the revenue in that, that's going to hold them back. Like it did with us having to play at Wembley. Like it did with us at COVID. Maybe we'd have actually pulled our finger out of us and started getting our act together a bit better if COVID didn't happen. That held us back 2 years. Even though it held everyone back 2 years, but everyone else hadn't built a 1 billion stadium. I'm honestly starting to get a bit excited. At the moment, I'm not going to get too excited. It's not going to happen in 5 minutes. But other clubs can't keep up with us purely because of that stadium. And unless they keep winning things consistently. We can literally go out there year by year and throw easily 200 million, 300 million around because of that stadium. And then obviously I know you got the TV rights, everything else and all that on top of it. But other people haven't got the income of that stadium. They haven't got the NFL. They haven't got the fucking Formula One. Formula One. Yeah, 15 years. Go-kart track. Only go-kart track, by the way. They haven't got all the other deals. We have. They don't have the concerts. Who wants to come to fucking Aston Villa out in Birmingham and have some shit little concert up there? Yeah, they'll be able to do it, but it ain't going to make the revenue that fucking London makes. Why is it Fulham and Crystal Palace can charge more ticket prices than bloody Liverpool? Because it's London. London controls England. If there was no London, England will fall apart. The point I'm getting at is the longer and longer this goes on, the more and more and more powerful we can actually be. The question is now, is do we actually mean business? Or are we just going for stability? And it's going to be next 2 to 3 years that's going to show it. If we just go and throw another 100 million around, another 150 million around, sell a couple of players and then do fuck all for the next 2 years, are you going to blame Daniel Levy for everything still? No, I won't. Because it'll show there's the money there. And it'll show there's Enoch. They just don't give a fuck. And I know he is part of Enoch, by the way. But the reason Enoch can throw that money about, the reason Spurs can throw that money about, the reason we can keep up with the big boys if we really want to, is because of Daniel Levy. So I'm going to go for a couple of things on the side. That is just my take. That is just how I see it. And the thing that made me look at it and have a look at it and just think about it was the fact that we just slammed 100 million on the table for Tonali. It wasn't even the Fernandez one. It was the Tonali one that really done me. I'm like, how the fuck did we do that? And then you just look at a few things. And you go through a few pages. And you add a few things together. And you look at it. And you're just like, how the fuck has this happened? How the fuck have Spurs done this? This poxy club that has only ever won the league twice. And yes, okay, we've won cups. Manchester United, Liverpool, 20 leagues. Arsenal, 14. Man City, 10. Everton, 9. Villa, 7. Sunderland, Chelsea, 6. Newcastle, Sheffield Wednesday, 4. Wolves, Leeds, Huddersfield, Blackburn, 3. Preston North End, Tottenham, Derby, Burnley, Portsmouth, 2. Yet we can go out there and throw our shit about when we've never ever been one of the big boys. Maybe we've got the big fan base. Yeah. Maybe we've got the big stuff, some of the big stuff with it, and we're a bit famous and that. And yes, you're going to go abroad. You ain't going to see fucking Newcastle fans out there, Aston Villa fans. You ain't going to see that shit. Yes, you'll see Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham. Man, we are, technically, revenue-wise, we are a top 6 club. Business-wise, we are a top 6 club. We are in the top 10 clubs on this planet on the business-wise. Purely because of Daniel Levy. No other reason, no other person. Daniel Levy. And I know people must be sick of me saying his fucking name, but I'll keep doing it. Because he's the reason we are up there. He's the reason we even get considered. I mean, how the fuck, when they went to build this European league, this special league, how the hell did a club that's only ever won 2 leagues in its entire life get taken into this fucking Super League or wanted? Money. Money talks. Daniel Levy. People are saying Spurs have no right to be in there. And I know there's people here who are just so fucking sentimental about it and so emotional about it that we've got a massive fucking cup thing in it. But I keep saying it, cut. That's history. That's done, yeah? But big time, we've never done it. Or we have done it. Like in the UEFA Cup when it was big and a little bit of history and cups, and we've won the league twice. Yet when it comes to the big stuff, league titles, what will clubs do, and Champions League, we even get run under the table by Aston Villa, who've won the fucking Champions Cup and the league 7 times. Nottingham Forest have even gone and fucking done the Champions Cup. What was it? Was it back to back? If I'm right, someone please do tell me if I'm wrong, because I will go through this. I'm very behind everyone. I just ain't been keeping up with people. I'm literally an hour behind. How can little old Spurs, who've only ever won the cups, never been anything more than a cup club, and I don't care fucking whoever comes on here. I'll put a link up on here in a minute, yeah? And anyone can argue it. I've said my point now, yeah? And no one's been able to argue with me. For once, I've been able to get my point across it without having someone shouting at me in the side with that one, someone justifying that shit. No, this is my take on Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. We have never been this big elite club. We have always been a cup club. We've got history to be proud of. We've got things we've done to be proud of. But that's done and dusted. Levy's done and dusted now. It's out the fucking window. It's finished. You can't change the past. But one thing you can do is have a say in the future. None of us can predict it. But if I decide that I want to go outside, I'm the one who makes the decision that I'm going outside or going left or right. Might sound a bit of a strange one, but you do have a say in what happens in the future. You do make some decisions yourself. Some people do. I know other people just like to act like a fucking sheep, especially Tottenham supporters. We're quite guilty for that, especially certain ones. And yeah, Spurs have a massive future. We can really be there now. Do ENIC 2.0, whatever you want to call these pricks. Mean business. Other point I want to make with this year is when Daniel Levy left. I mean, fuck me, I was in shock. So was everybody. What happened? Was this part of the plan that he had with people? Or this is a question I'm going to ask. Did they just actually get to the point like, yeah, it weren't too good the season before, but we are in the Champions League, whatever else? Because it weren't really relegation, was it? But we were 17th, and it was only not relegation because of the 3 shit teams below us. Yeah. Did they actually just throw that fella under the fucking bus? So then they could walk out there and go bang, 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 with some big players and throw some money about and take all the fucking compliments. Because I'll tell you one thing. Certain YouTubers out there, certain Spurs fans out there are now all of a sudden excited. Me being one of them. I'm guilty of it as well. Yeah, they mean business. We want these new boys. Yeah, they mean it. They're going to spend money. Daniel Levy wouldn't have done this. No, maybe he wouldn't have got the jobs done to the same extent. It was one of his poorest parts. Did they actually just slam that fellow under the fucking bus, basically, who built the entire Tottenham Hotspur industry, who made us a £4 billion company, basically, with some of the highest revenue in football to the point that we can now compete with Man United if we really want to. And now take the full fucking credit for it. I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. But I think one thing we can all agree on. It's a fucking dog-eat-dog world out there. And you want to get to the top, you gotta be shrewd. You got to be cruel. You can't be kind. You won't ever get to the top by being nice. You won't do it. It's not going to happen. It don't happen. Like I said, it's dog-eat-dog world. Did they actually throw that fellow under the bus completely? Who would give us the blueprints for everything? And then go and take the fucking credit for it. Do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me. He had to go. He had to go. I think Levy took us as far as he could on the business side. Again, I'm not talking for football. We fucked up royally. I don't argue none of that shit. Even though at times we just could not keep up. But we fucked up many times. But we are now at a point where we are up there and we can fucking become something. And that is now going to be down to ENIC. That is now going to be down to the children. Well, fucking hell, old enough to be my grandparents, but Joe Lewis' sons. Joe Lewis, whoever only turned up to a match once a year. Didn't give a fuck. He just wanted revenue. Did Levy even have the money to spend half the time? Was he that much of a tight bastard? Or was he only allowed to use the revenue that the club was bringing in? I don't know. I don't think anyone out there does know. I'm sure there's a Spurs who's got plenty of ITK who says he does know. I'm sure there's a few out there. But do any of us actually know? Did they throw him under the bus at the end? No one's going to know. But the last bit I'll say on it before I come and bring in, just talk to some of the people on the side. The only reason that we have a serious future on our hands, the only reason we was just able to go out there and swing a bigger fucking dick than Man United, the only reason we was just able to go and slam 100 million on the table and take one of the best fucking one of the best midfielders in fucking Europe, as far as I'm concerned, Tonali's shit off, and he hasn't even lived up to standards yet. If we play him the right way, we have got a fucking good player there. We have got a player there. If we play him the right way, we've got a Declan Rice, if not better. He's more capable as a player. And Declan Rice is a good player. I'm not saying they'll do it straight away at Spurs, but we play him the right way. Again, I'll repeat it one more time. There is only one reason and one reason only that we was able to do that. And that is Daniel Levy. So if you want to run this fellow under the bus for the way he fucked up at Spurs so much, I don't blame you. Because people want to win things. But can we just accept that you weren't the devil either. That you actually got certain things right. Not the right things we wanted right, but the fact that we're in the position we are now, where the blueprints are there, where everything is there, and we are there for the taking to become as big as any club in England within the next 5 years. Or am I just being a bit OTT there? It's all there for the taking. And that's because of one man and one man only. Whether you like it, whether you don't like it, that is a fact. Some people won't ever see it because they don't want to see it. Some people can't take their glasses off and look at the fucking screen properly and just admit maybe there is two sides to a story. Some people only ever want to see it their way. But there is only one reason why we're going to be able to do this if ENIC 2.0, whatever you want to call these pricks, want to do it. So I'm just going to go through a few people really. Like, I'm well behind, so I'm probably going to scroll down to the bottom and see what a few people's opinion on there really are. Like Scott, evening Dan, hope you're well, mate. Ellie, let's see your point here quickly. Continued, I think he got us into a position to strike and improve, but didn't push on us and stiffled with us on wheeler dealings, pissing people off, and didn't build a solid competitive squad ever. I haven't denied none of that, have I? But you can't change that, Ellie. You ain't ever going to change that. Look ahead for the future. And the future's bright. I'm getting a bit excited. Maybe too early. But the only reason we actually have a future is because of that fella you don't fucking like. Whether you like it or not, Ellie. He is the only reason we have a fucking future. To stand a chance of getting anywhere. He's the only reason. Whether you like it or not. It's a fact. Like it or lump it. And Anton, big up. Dan, I think supporters have got some blinded by 3D model scales of a stadium complex and promises challenging titles. I understand that one as well, mate. But hasn't it just been proven that the money can be thrown about if the big boys really want to do it? If ENIC want to do it. He wasn't the owner of ENIC, he was part of ENIC, yes. And part of the problem, yes. And fucked up many things. But again, they've just proved they can do it. Through four consistent years of half £500 million revenue? Sure, we can do it. That's only because he's done it. You know? And Lupo's fucking leave him out of it, yeah? And Queen Ellie, as Sean Butler slid into your DM, Dan, only kidding, just messing. No, and I don't agree with everything the fella says either. But I do agree with other things he says as well. Why? Because I'm not just simple-minded and only seeing things in one direction. But there's nothing wrong with having your own opinion and seeing it that way. But surely you've got to see two sides to a story. Over 3 years of doing YouTube, Ellie, nearly 3.5 years. Like I said, I used to call this man the cancer of the club. But then as time goes on, and if you're willing to actually take in other people's opinions and actually put the emotion to a side and actually just use your head, I personally think a lot of what I just said made sense. Maybe others won't, because some people are just too much. It's a sport. And yes, but it's not. Not anymore. It's 2026. We're not in fucking 1964 anymore. We're not in 1984 anymore. We're not in 1990. It's 2026. It's all about money now. If you've got the money, you can do what the fuck you want. And we've just proved it. So let's go and fucking do it. And the only reason we can do it is because of him. And Rob, how we doing, fella? If not Levy, Lewis would have had another to grow the commercial revenue. Being in London is more massive and difference marker than Levy. Levy was the tool Lewis used. Yeah, plenty of tools that can do. Okay, fine. Let me have another point quickly then. Something else it's just come off the top of my head. I think Spurs now, on the revenue side again, bar extra concerts and that we can do, yeah? There's not really much else we can do to make money on that fucking stadium, is there? Not unless we put some fucking helicopters there or something. Maybe ENIC are doing this for the wrong reasons, but I don't give a fuck if it is for the wrong reasons, as long as it has the good effect on the football and we start winning shit. Maybe they've actually woke up and seen that we have taken. Daniel Levy took us as far as he possibly could on the business side. Maybe that's all they give a fuck about. So let's agree they only give a fuck about money. They can't take that stadium no further, not unless they put more seats in it. They can't take the concerts no further, like until they give us concerts, like just more concerts. That's all they can do. There's really nothing more they can do to make extra money, more revenue, except one thing, and that's build on the football side now. They got shit scared by nearly getting relegated because they'd lost half the price of their fucking stadium and everything else. So maybe ENIC are at this point now, ENIC 2.0, where Levy took us as far as he could that far and fucked up on the sports side, not denying it. But now the only way they can actually really make money at the club, the way I see it, and I'm sure some people tell me I'm wrong and give me other reasons, and if it's a good reason, I'll accept it. But maybe we're just now at the point where they just can't make no more money anywhere else. And the only way they're going to make more money is actually make Tottenham Hotspur Football Club an elite football club. Because if we become an elite football club and start winning things, what goes up? The revenue. What do we put up? The ticket prices can then half be justified. Well, even though they're still fucking extortionate, but you get what I'm saying. What then goes up? Sponsors, shirt sponsors, sponsors around the stadium. People will pay more. Clubs will pay more. Companies, should I say, will pay more to have their name put in that stadium. If Tottenham become a regular top 4 club and start challenging for leagues, start challenging for titles, start winning cups regular, start doing things regular. So is this how they're seeing it? And they're just doing it on the business side? Because it is literally the only way they can bring more money into Spurs. I don't know. But as long as they start bringing it in on the football side now, fuck it. I don't care. I just want to win. I just want to be up the top now. I don't want to win the little League Cup here and there. I don't want to win the little Europa Cup here and there. Yeah, it's nice. I want to challenge for the big stuff. We can do it. It's there for the taking. Everything is there for the taking. Go and fucking do it. That's what I want. I'm sorry. I don't just want little cups. Whether people like it or not these days, the FA Cup was massive. The FA Cup these days is fucking nothing. Let's be real. Go down the pub on an FA Cup day. Who's actually down there? The supporters of each club. When I was younger and used to go to an FA Cup down the pub, everyone was in there. They wanted to watch the FA Cup game. These days, no one gives a fuck. And where does the FA Cup take you? Like I said, I want us to go up there. And then if we can go up there and start winning cups on the side, I'll be over the moon. I'm happy. But I want to get to the top first. And I know it ain't going to happen in 5 minutes. But nobody can tell me we have not got the revenue. We have not got the power to go and do this. And again, this is only because of one man. Like it or lump it. So I'm going to scroll down. Mark, I hope you're doing well, Cookie. Does the spending continue, Dan? And why do you think they're doing it now? I think I've said everything, mate. So I'm about an hour behind you on the thing and that. Yeah, the question is going to be, are they spending it because of what I just said? Because they're doing it on the business infrastructure? Because the only way they can get more money in at Spurs is now actually make Spurs an elite football club? Or are they doing it just so they just got shit scared? Maybe it's a bit of both. I don't know. Nobody knows. I'm sure someone's got an ITK and will tell us why. But again, so with that, and sorry to be so late on here, mate. I've just concentrated purely on the screen. 4872, I can't pronounce your fucking name. Jay-Z coming to Tottenham and Gabby. It's not fair. You know what I mean? But we can do that. They can't. It's just the rules. It is what it is. And we can do that. It's mental. Yeah. The money that is generated by elite owners of football clubs is in the billions. It's mad money. Complete it is. And then they pick up fellow Tottenham Therapy. How you doing? If anyone hasn't signed up to him, go and do it. He speaks in good sense. Big up, Dan. I didn't realise I wasn't subscribed to you, but that's been corrected now. I've liked as well. Thanks a lot, mate. Appreciated. And FSANC, big up, Dan. Levy would have never spent this kind of money. I'm not disputing that. I'm not arguing it. I think he'd have fucked it up as well, if I'm going to be totally honest with myself. But we wouldn't have had the money to do it if it wasn't for Daniel. This is the point I am putting across. And yeah, how are we doing, Corey? For every point over, they will be charged 6 million per point over the threshold. Yep. and robbed 200 million in commercial revenue. It is mental. So I'm going to scroll down to basically the bottom so I can keep up with what's being said now. Fucking hell. Didn't think there'd be this much said. What am I saying? This about Levy. Of course, there was going to be a lot said in there. And let me scroll up a bit here and sort of catch up with myself. And Tom, no, but he was the visionary. I agree with that because we've got the money to spend. I mean, Scott, you can laugh at it all you want, mate, but we've only got the money to spend because it's been put there with that stadium and everything else. Dan, he didn't do it on his own. He had the shares lined in his pocket all the way to the bank. DL is sitting as well. Sweet. Well, if he didn't do it on his own, why does he get run under the table for everything then? Surely everything's got to be run under the bus then. Of course, there's more to it than just him, but he was the snake at the top that everybody says. Either way, again, we've only got the money to do this because of what he fucking done. And some people aren't going to like it. I mean, Scott, you say how fucking dumb of our fans. That's your opinion, mate. But people just have different opinions. If you're directing that, he's got to be out. And Ellie, as Levy out as all we wanted is for us to do better. I totally agree. I even went to the protests. It's more Enoch. It's just you wanted good for the football club. Better have the standards. He lacked ambition. Yes, he did on the football, 100% side. So now I want to see the future. As you say, Levy put us in a position to strike. There's my point. That's what I want. That's what everyone else should want now. We are in this position where we can actually be something. I mean, yeah, you say Spurs are 800 million in debt. Have you ever heard of a fucking mortgage, mate? Seriously. We are paying under 30 million a year to pay that off. Tuppence money. Stadiums make more than that. I mean, stadiums, fucking concerts make more than that. About 3 concerts make that easy. It's nothing. It's tuppence money. But people think it's massive money. 800 million is a lot of money. But the time we've got to pay it back and the way we make the revenue to pay it back, it don't even affect us. It really doesn't. I've done the checking up on it. Some people have tried telling me it does. No, it fucking don't. We make that money back just on bloody a couple of concerts. It's nothing. It really isn't. The stadium pays for everything when it comes to that. The stadium builds more than enough money to pay for itself. When you love a house that paid for itself. I know I wouldn't, but seriously, easy doggy. Check out what a mortgage is all about. And, you know, Newcastle have zero debt but can't spend. Exactly, because they don't make no fucking revenue. We're in 800 million debt, like you just said, but we can spend money. Why? Because we make the revenue. Why? Because the stadium makes the fucking revenue as well. Why? Because of the football side of it as well. Why? Because the stadium side as well. Why? Because the stadium pays off the 800 million. And Newcastle can't spend because they don't make no fucking money. Really? Unless they get in the Champions League 4 or 5 years on trot, they ain't going to be able to spend shit. Why? People ain't going to like what I say here, but the further up north you go, the poorer it gets. It's poor. There'd be no such thing as up north if there wasn't for London. Scotland wouldn't exist if it wasn't for London. If people actually go out and check a couple of things, what supports Scotland? Go and check your shit. If it wasn't for London, one of the most powerful cities on this planet, don't ask me why, it's a dirty shithole these days, but one of the most powerful money-orientated cities on this planet, I don't know what it's in. Is it in the top 4, top 5, something like that? I'm sure someone will correct me. That's why the smaller clubs like Fulham, like Palace, could charge bigger ticket prices than Newcastle, than Aston Villa, than Liverpool, than City. Because the people up north can't pay for it, and there's no insult to them. That's just the area. The area up there, the further up north you go, the poorer it gets. I could sell my bungalow that I live in London and go up north and buy 2 4-bedroom houses up in Newcastle and still have money in my bank. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. It's the revenue note. That's what it is. That's why we can do it. And it's Daniel Levy that done it. And what you're also saying now, how can clubs be hundreds of millions in debt and then talk about it? I just told you, mate. Simple as that. Because it goes on revenue that you make in the year. It's not just the debt you're in or whatever. We pay the debt. It's not a debt we've got. It's a loan. It's a debt. I know that. I mean, look at the other thing Levy done as well. I can't remember the exact times that this was done, yeah? But it was something like a £200 million debt where it was a very high, I forgot the fucking phrase now. It was a very high interest rates we had to pay back on it. So what the man went and done towards the end of the COVID thing, just after it, he went and took another loan out. Why? Because all the banks were throwing the money under the table. That's when I went and done it. I got a massive loan out there. 0.9% interest over 30 years. You can't argue with it. That's what they were doing at the time. So that's what Levy went out and done, and took a big loan out again, and then paid the loan that he already had, where it was a massive APR on it, and fucking paid it off. And now he's got the loan where he's paying off hardly anything on it, where there's hardly any extra money he's got to pay. Fair play. Fair play. And 2 marks, Cookie. You're right on what you're saying, mate. Winning sends you global. It's took them 26 years to work that out. I agree. But winning FA Cups and winning League Cups don't get you nowhere. Not anymore. They get you nothing. Except a bit of a boost for the day and a piss up. They get you nothing. But you're right on what you're saying. Winning sends you global. But winning what? Winning what? Winning leagues. Something Tottenham have never done. Bar twice. And that was 60, 70 years ago, for fuck's sake. Winning Champions Leagues. Getting to Champions League finals. Getting into the Champions League regular. Fuck the FA Cup and the League Cup for the next couple of years. Start getting in that Champions League regular and start competing at the top. Gives us more revenue to talk with. Gives us more money to get up there with. Gives us more money to throw at the fucking clubs. That we make more money then. And then if they really want to do it, they can take us all the way. But you're right on what you say. An easy dog again. But it still gives advantage that other clubs can't compete with. I see where you're coming from. But life's a bitch. It's a dog-eat-dog world, mate. They actually made the deal to stop the little clubs going under. But it has sort of give a bit of a disadvantage to it. But you know what? Aston Villa, they got billionaire owners, everything else and that. Why did they fuck up? Because they went and put a majority of their fucking money and went over the went over the FFP, if I remember right. Someone please do tell me if I'm wrong, by paying so much on their fucking wages. Now they're up shit street, the silly prick. Should have spent their money wisely, shouldn't they? Go and build a stadium. They've got multi-billionaires. You know, go and do the sort of thing. But other clubs didn't see it. Other clubs didn't see the advantage to it. Now everybody wants to do it because they've realised what's in it. But again, the other problem is, you are right there, it is not really fair. The further up north you get, the poorer it gets. The money is in London, and that is that. But you can say the clubs up north have been significantly more successful than clubs down south. So it's not as though you don't get the success up there. It's just the rules are the rules, mate, and we can't change that. That's all it does come down to. And what you're saying here, what is that? The Walton, I'll just go with that. I can barely read that. Just laughing at Scott. Ha ha, coming from you. That's classic. If you had a place, oh, it would expire. Yeah. The stadium makes FFP formula easy. That's exactly what I'm saying, mate. Stadium, we can just live off that on its own. And Queen Ellie in Levy's Shores and Steel. Yep. And also saying, Walton saying, I think it's a punt from the owners too to buy the quick success, then sell up. Quite possibly. Quite possibly. But I don't think anyone could play. I don't think anyone could complain if they did try and get to the top and then sell up. Because whoever would come in would have to pay a lot of money because of the amount of revenue that this place makes. I mean, we're a 4 billion club, for fuck's sake. And then the amount of money that that stadium makes of over $500 million a year. And that's not taking in if we was getting into the Champions League regular and everything else. It's all there for the taking. And 2 marks Cookie, yeah. Then they sell up at his peak. Why not? That'd be shrewd business, wouldn't it? And I don't think none of us would complain, really, would we? And Nita, what are you saying here? Some of the debt is at a low payback. Turnover is still high. Exactly. I get what you mean. Tom, Levy was ahead of his time. In some ways, yeah. definitely fucked up on the sports side, no two ways about it. But I don't think anyone can really argue with what I said unless they want to argue about basically that we didn't win fuck all and that he did fuck up on the sports side. But again, we can't change that. We can only look ahead to the future now. People say, why be negative? People say, be positive. I'd say we've got something to be positive about. But that all depends on Ian now, not Daniel Levy. He done the blueprints. He's put it all there for us. Everything. Everything. It's now down to the other people. So if they don't do it, do you still blame Levy? Because he's given them the gun and the fucking ammunition. He's built the gun and the ammunition. That's all they got to do is shoot fucking straight. That's all they got to do. They don't even have to they don't even have to look at the business side. Oh yeah, go on, another 30 concerts, sweet, done. Not a problem. It's all there. It's done. Everything. Training facilities, the lot, everything is there. That's all someone needs to do is now focus on the football side. Make us bigger on the football, brings in even more revenue with the sponsors, like I said. It's all there for the taking. It's all built, it's all done, it's all ready. We just need someone there who's got the bollocks to fire the fucking gun straight. But they've only got that gun because of him. It's there for the taking. And that is the frustrating thing at Spurs. One of the most frustrating things. Because it feels like we've been like this for a while. But as I say, COVID held us back 2 years, same as everyone, but we had just built the stadium. But the amount of revenue we've taken in over the past 4 years. And as I say, we finished 17th twice. Yes, we've got Champions League, which definitely helped. and we went and put Man U under the fucking table. The third biggest club on this fucking planet. Got me. Loved it. And Waldson, these owners are buying players like they in a high stakes poker game in Vegas. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's a plan behind it. I don't know about that one. I disagree. Are you telling me there's no plan between Tonali and Fernandez playing together? Are you telling me that there's no plan that Robertson can take that left-hand side and Senesi can definitely be more of a good backup? Are you telling me that there's no plan behind Van Hecke working with Van der Ven? No, I disagree with that one totally. Might look like it, and yes, we're paying over, but then you've got to look at the market these days. It's fucking stupid. Is Tonali worth 100 million? Is he fucked? No. Is any player worth that? No chance. But it is just the revenue. Like I said, you've got to go out, and when you buy mayonnaise, you've got to pay £5.50 these days. It is what it is, like it or lump it. It's just the way the market goes. It is what it is. Was Declan Rice worth 100 million? Fuck right off. But it's just, it is what it is. It's just, it is what it is. An easy doggy. If Man U build a stadium, they will be over 2.5 billion in debt. Yep. Yeah, if Wrexham are promoted, they can only spend 100 million because they don't bring the revenue in. And it's like when you buy players, it's not all in one lump. Yeah, certain bits, some teams want like half the money for it, but it can be pushed over the length of the contract. So if the contract's 3 years, you can pay it over 3 years. If it's 5 years, you can pay it over the contract. If I'm right, I think I'm right there. You can only pay it over the contract that you give them. So you've got time to pay. But again, look at the revenue Man U bring in. They're the only ones who bring in more on a match day. But when they build that stadium, you ain't going to see Man U about for a while putting it about. And then Kevin Cook, how we doing, fella? Dan, they are putting the club in the shop window, and these attractive purchases, like anyone, they will sell if the price is right. Will you complain? I don't think you will. And if that's what they're doing, fair play. As long as the next owners that come in are willing to throw that money about and are willing to actually take us to the top, I don't give a fuck. But someone comes in and buys this club, and someone has got the power to spend the money on the FFP and everything, we go back to what I said. It's only because Daniel Levy built it and put the blueprints there. And to Mark's what we're saying, we are $1 billion in debt with player. Yeah, I know. But we bring in enough revenue to pay it off and to spend as well. We are that big, Mark. We are that fucking big. We make that much money. That stadium brings in that much fucking money that we can do that. and still have money to spend. Because if we didn't, we wouldn't be able to do the FFP shit. We do. It's the amount of money we paid. It clears the debts on the side, and then we've still got money to spend. It's easy as that. The stadium pays itself. Easy doggy. Levy built the best foundation, but Enoch should write all the debt off if they are serious. I can see where you're coming from, mate. That's a fair point. And Tom also saying debt isn't a bad thing. It's not a good thing. But if you use things widely, Europa League is Mickey Mouse. Totally agree. The only reason anyone gives a fuck about the Europa League is because it gets you in the Champions League. Let's be real. Let's just be real. Who gives a flying fuck about the Europa Cup unless you get in the Champions League? Would anyone have been that excited if Spurs would have really won that Europa Cup and we weren't getting in the Champions League for it? I think people would have still been happy. I'd have still been happy, but I don't think no one would have been particularly over the fucking moon. Everyone knew it got us to the Champions League. How much revenue did it make us? Not a lot. We finished 17th, and whoever finished 3rd and 4th. What's the difference? Something like 35, 40 million. When you're a multi-billionaire and your stadium brings in over and everything, and you bring in over 500 billion in just plain revenue, 30 million is pretty much tuppence money, really. It's not going to save you. It's not going to give you that much more money to spend. It's where it does just seem a bit fucked up, basically, doesn't it? I mean, maybe some of these things I've got a bit wrong on the revenue side, but again, it's just how I portray it. And reading a couple of things and listening to a couple of other people, I'm sure there is going to be one or two who want to correct me on this. But you know what? I'm going to do something I wasn't going to do. And if anyone comes on here and even raises their voice, I will just fuck you off. I ain't in the mood for that. But here's the link. If you want to have an opinion on what I've just said, or if you just want to put your own point across about Daniel Levy, about the situation we're in, about the fact that we can throw our money about now, the fact that we can outbid Man United, come on here and do it. It's there. I'll wait about for another 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If no one jumps on, then no one jumps on. Then fine, by me. I mean, I do appreciate everyone watching. So come on. A lot of people seem to have a big opinion down here. So come on, give your opinion. I'm not going to bite your head off for it. I'm willing to take it in. So come on and do it, basically. And if Spurs spend the same next season, then we can easily challenge for yes. Then Spurs can start looking seriously at challenging for a title. 99 problems, but the European trophy ain't one. Yeah, fair point. The Europa Cup got us in the Champions League. It's what we needed. You see what happened with that Europa Cup? I'm still sticking to my guns on this one, and no one's going to change my mind on this one unless they can put me hardcore proof there. I think Levy and Ange made the deal. Whether it was Ange made the deal with Levy or Levy made the deal with him, I don't know. I think they sat there and Levy was like, we're going to be lucky if we're top 10, but we ain't going down. You know, Van der Ven mentioned something about it as well. Ellie, I'll bring you on in 2 seconds. Now, do you know what? I'll bring you on now. And just let me finish. Oh, thank you. You need to bring your mic up. Your mic's a bit crackly.
Wait a moment.
So the deal I reckon that was made was basically, I reckon him and Levy came to an agreement is I will keep you till the end of the season if you win me that Europa Cup. You win me that Europa Cup, you get the money, you get the credit, but you're still fucking off. I reckon they came to that deal so that Ange didn't get the sack in January. Because Levy knew the only way he was going to bring money into that club was getting in that Champions League, and we weren't going to do it. And the only way we were doing it was winning the poxy little Europa Cup that no one gives a fuck about. That only people care about, basically, because it gets you in the Champions League, because it ain't the UEFA Cup anymore. Ellie, how we doing?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I've enjoyed the show, and I've enjoyed your takes on things. I haven't agreed with everything, but I've agreed with a lot of things. I've agreed with a lot of what you're saying, right? Like I said, right, all we want is better for our club, better standards, getting better players. They started with a good intention. Now they've got to carry it on, right? So if they're gonna, the proof is in the pudding, right? And I'm a person who trusts when I see things done. I don't just give my trust out willy nilly. So if they fire the shots, as you call them, but I just said they have to load the gun again and go again, because if they leave us without that, with the same forward line, it's defeated all the objects, buying all the other players, because we're going to do all the fancy work and not finish our dinner. So it'll be ridiculous if they don't. So they're not that stupid, surely.
Surely, but like I said, Ellie, why is the only reason they've got guns with bullets in it to do this?
I know, I get your point. I really do get your point. He's put us in that position to be able to load the gun and fire, all right, which is good. So you can't slate the man completely. Do you know what? I've never ever said that I actually hate Levy. I hate the things that he's done, not him personally. You know, to mess about with transfers, to fire managers when give them a chance and back them.
There's not much to say thank you for on the football side, is there, if we're going to be honest?
Yeah. Thank you on the business side, but not on the football side. All right? Because he made a lot of errors. Yeah, and it's probably his upbringing and, you know, not having the knowledge and maybe not firing people who were doing the recruitment as well, because it was their job to make sure that we do our due diligence on signings. And that was very laxy-daisy. We've got a very lazy recruitment department still, right? And it's only this window that we've shown any intent by getting Tonali, Van Hecker, Fernandez, Robertson, Dubravka. Robertson's a decent signing, but people say he's on his last legs. Well, we'll see, won't we? Because look at Messi, he's 38. I know he's an exceptional talent, but he's still doing it at the World Cup. So I don't know. I just want to see the proof in the pudding. Like Alex says, the cherry pie with a cherry on top. Yeah? And consistently as well. Not just one season, consistently to keep us up there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Right. And just to prove a point here for you, which I can show on the screen if you want, non-football stadium activities generate 25 to 40 million of revenue per year. Total bullshit, mate. You're chatting shit. You haven't got a clue. Let me finish here, yeah? I've just gone to check the stats. Just on its own in 2023, over 38 million was made from Beyonce's 5 concerts. And we have 30 concerts there. So before you're going to run your mouth off, fella, get your fucking facts right, sweetheart. Dan, if you've got a problem, come on here and put it.
He's also forgetting the fact it's not just the ticket sale that's sold at these events. It's also all the merch that gets put into the stadium.
Everything.
The food, the drink, the programs, everything. Beyonce's come to town. Great. Ticket prices, merchandise, food, drink. The
renting the stadium.
Renting the stadium. Yep. The stuff that goes on before it, you know, advertising it over the radio, it all generates that money coming into the club. So Beyonce take her cut of it, which would probably be like 5-10 million from whatever, you know, and then we keep the rest.
Yeah.
Mate, I was like you, mate, for years, because where I stood was Martin Yole was sacked, and that crushed me as a kid. I know, I was in my 20s when
I was gutted as well when we lost him. I was gutted when we lost him. I've been gutted many a times.
You've heard me so many times, Enoch out, fucking Levy out, screaming, going to protests with you, with Brian, with everybody else, screaming, we want Enoch. And, you know, I've sat back the last 2 years, looked at how much this club has made in 2 years, and we've made close to 2.2 billion in revenue, in sponsorships. The NFL deal alone is worth what? I think it's like 150 to 200 million a year that they're paying for us to host these events.
I mean, I've got this up here somewhere. If I can just check it somewhere. I mean, keep going with what you're saying. I'll try and check it because I'm just bringing it up on the screen.
The NFL, next to soccer or football, we call it football, right? It's the second biggest sport on the planet. It is watched by millions of people. And you think those millions of people, I'm a Steelers fan. I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan.
I can't stand it.
You know, I love American football just as much as I love our football. I love hockey. I love basketball. I watch all that shit, because I'm, got to watch autism fixate football sport. These sports, the eyes come onto our stadium. Oh, it's London. Oh, it's Tottenham. When they're watching their team play, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, like the 49ers, the Chiefs, all of these teams, they come to our stadium. All their fans are watching from around the world, watching their team at our stadium. The deal that we've got with the NFL, I think it's 15, 20-year deal, and we get paid like about 200 million a year for that alone, or something stupid like that from the NFL. It's a really big deal that Daniel got in. And for like you, for years,
up to 29. It's up to 29. It's up to 29.30 the year, and that. So we still got a couple of years left.
Yeah, no, but it's just going to be generated again.
No, yeah, but it will be another deal because we are the actual only stadium in Europe that can actually hold NFL because of the turnover on the stadium. No other stadium can actually do that to put an NFL game down there. Basically,
closest was Wembley, but nobody, the players didn't like playing at Wembley.
No, Wembley isn't the one with the capability to do it.
Yeah, we have.
Tottenham is the only one that actually has the capability to do it. There we go. You on there, Ellie?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened there.
No, nor do I. You came on there twice. God knows.
I think my fan that I had on disturbed the mobile network, so I've turned it off. It's bloody hot though.
Yeah, it's warm down here on the coast as well.
I just ran over. I just run over and open the door to listen
For years, I
spent a bit of money on the Dyson fan because it at least cools it down a bit.
Yeah, I mean, for years, like my rhetoric was, I hate these owners. Can't wait for them to go. Don't buy. They don't invest. They're not. And then I've sat back the last couple of years and like, hang on, they're generating so much money, so much power that we can use, and it's come to fruition this season. Like you said, Levy has built the infrastructure for us to be able to move forward as a club. As a business, he took us as far as he could. On the football side of it, nah. But I can sit here now thinking that guy was thrown under the bus a bit by these owners. And when we're talking about the Lewis kids, they're not kids when they're in their like 60s, are they? They're the same age as my parents. I'm sat here like, now they've just got to prove it year in, year out, not just one panic-stricken transfer window, get in people and then sit back.
On the point here, I can ask you to. I mean, Hotspur Hood, Jurgen Klopp focused on buying key players. Yes, he did, but not overspending. Well, I disagree with that. The whole world basically said that they totally overspent and went over the top with Virgil van Dijk. Yeah, like what, 90 million for a fucking defender.
They also went a bit OTT on the keeper as well.
But it definitely turned out well worthwhile, didn't it? Yeah. So really, technically, they overspent on it, but it turned out in the long run that it was worthwhile. The whole world was like, "What the fuck are you doing buying a Southampton defender for nearly 90 million?" So technically, they did overspend, but now you can look at it and say they didn't. And he had developed the academy. Yes, some teams have a better academy. Tottenham have a shit academy. If we had a good academy, then we wouldn't keep buying young players to play on the bloody pitch. What we should do with the academy, in my opinion, is do what Chelsea and Man City do. Just perk it up the best you can, rent out the players for a little bit, and then sell them for as much money as you can. I don't give a shit about the youth prospect and everything else. All I care about is winning things at the club. Sounds
unless
horrible,
something special comes along.
Exactly that. And when does anything ever make it through the academy? Realistically,
once in a generation, we've had Harry Kane. I'm not going to count Winks and skipping this because they were bloody awful. I mean, if we're going that far back, it was Ledley King, then Sol Campbell. So in my short life of 41 years, I've seen 4 top quality players come through our academy. Exactly. All right, one of them went to Arsenal. I could take my I hate Sol Campbell, I hate Arsenal cap off. The guy came in, he did a job, used us as a bit of a make way, then went to the enemy, but still fantastic defender. Ledley King, fantastic defender.
But Kane, we did lose out on Sol Campbell because someone didn't make a fucking proper deal with him early enough, and that one was down to Daniel Levy.
No, that was before Levy's time.
No, that was before Levy. What am I saying? That was before Levy. Yeah, it was because we did it. Yeah,
that was because we before.
Yeah, my bad.
It was even before we got taken over.
He was waiting for a contract, and we didn't give him the contract he wanted. And then Arsenal came in and said, there you go. And he said, you know what? Fuck it. I'll go win things. That's why I don't hold nothing against Sol Campbell, because it's another bit of business that if Spurs would have put it on the table, we would have got the job done. Again, money talks.
Yeah, I could take my I hate Sol Campbell hat off and actually admire him for the player that he is. All right, he did a bit of but then he wasn't offered the contract from us to stay with us. So I've got no problem with that. Ledley King came for us. Kane, I mean, what? 3, maybe 4 good players in my lifetime I've seen come for our youth academy. Everything else has just been a flash in the pan, a moment in time, you know? Was it that when Winks came in, he had that half a good season before he got injured, and then that was it. You didn't see the same player. That was backwards passing. I'm like, pass it forwards. Football goes that way, not that way.
Yeah, do you know what I wanted to add, right? The Lewis family are very wealthy, right? Because they own Tavistock, right? So they've always been in a position to make us a better club, right? So it's not only because of Levy that he's built this infrastructure. They've always had the money power, because that Tavistock is massive. It's absolutely massive. You know, Mari, when he was on Tottenham Away, he'd talk about Tavistock because he knew a lot of the background of how they got their money and how they built their empire. And they've got so much real estate. That's why they brought that guy from Tavistock onto the board, because he's got business expertise, right? So it's not Levy's one of the cogs that made the money, but they've always had money to spend. That's one thing. And I think sometimes rich people, right, they don't really like to spend their own money, do they? And that's why they're rich.
No, that's why they've got deep pockets, isn't it, Ellie?
Yeah.
That's why they're fucking rich, isn't it?
That's why they sold some of their paintings.
Yeah.
But then,
even in my own family, right, I've got people in my own family who are quite wealthy. They don't give their money away. I'm telling you, they keep it.
it's the way it's done. I mean,
we're all away.
You look at when like Chelsea came in and everything else came in and the oil money and everything. How the fuck could the Spurs keep up with that? And I'm sorry, nobody can tell me Spurs have ever been a big club bar 2 years sort of thing for winning them 2 leagues. Bar that, we have only ever been a cup club. Nothing more, really, nothing less.
It's a shame we didn't push on and win leagues and win Champions Leagues, because we could have done, right? When we got to the Champions League semi-final against Benfica back in the 60s, right? We were cheated out of that. We really cheated, and my dad would have all the nonsense about it and the referee and all that in my ear when I was bloody 3 years old, feeding me crab in the Hastings restaurant that we used to own, and talking to me about how we were fiddled out of that. But the thing is, Spurs, right? They should have pushed on a lot of periods in our history. We could have pushed on. And we didn't. We stayed behind. And all the other clubs, right? Because Liverpool, right? They've only been good since the 70s. Liverpool have only been good since the 70s, really. If you look at their history before then, they weren't a big club. They just became massive from the 70s through to the 80s, when they started winning league titles and Champions Leagues. It used to be called the European Cup back in the day, didn't it? But it was the pure European Cup, was the elite of the elite, because only the first teams in every country would go into it. But now they've bastardised the Champions League. And really,
so UEFA to make money out of it from clubs from first to 10th. That's all they've done, is make money out of clubs.
Yeah, it is. Right. So the Champions League is like the UEFA Cup. It is. That's what I've said it so many times, because 4 teams go in it, and sometimes 5 or 6 teams from a country go in it because of the coefficients.
Just look at our coefficient this season alone, Ellie. We've had out of three potential titles coming back to this country, 2 teams have brought it back, which has generated the places from 1st to 9th, I think it is this season, or 1st to 8th.
I think it's 1st to 8th, because Brighton got 8th.
That's how Brighton are in there. They're in the Conference League, which is great for Brighton, because they have a chance of winning it. But then when I looked at a statistic the other day with English clubs and the money they generate, they could conquer Europa and the Conference League for years to come with the money that they bring in. I mean, Palace won it, and their revenue compared to it was I can't remember who they played now in the final, but their revenue, their revenue was just under 200 million for that season, and they compare it to the team that they played, and they're only about 80 to 90. So like those teams can go off and excel, and then bring in another trophy, and these teams can keep recycling that and bringing that coefficient and that success back to this league. This is why it sounds odd for me to say this. I wanted Arsenal to win it. For that first time in my life, I wanted to see this country bring back all the silverware from Europe, because Spain have done it, Germany have done it, you know. So it's just like one time in my lifetime. I hate Arsenal, don't get me wrong, but just to say to the motherland outside of England that we've got all of it, you know. Come knock on our door.
I get your point, but I can't agree with the Arsenal bit.
I know, I'm a football fan first. I'm a football fan first. I want to see all that silverware on this continent, so we can just go,
yeah, but not to Arsenal.
Mate, our league is the best league. Our league is the best in the world.
Corey,
you know,
Corey, I don't want to be pedantic, but UK is also part of the continent, right? So
we're not anymore.
So like if Spain won it, it would have stayed on the continent.
Hello, Michael.
You know, what I
nice
mean?
to see you again, Michael. Nice
You are,
to see
mate.
you.
So,
ages.
with everything I've been talking about, Mike, basically, what's your take on basically what I've said? I know you've got a take about the whole thing as well, an opinion on everything now. So basically, with how I have put it across there, how do you see it?
Could you summarize it a bit? Because like I was just on and off. Could you summarize what you said?
And basically, as all I've been talking about the whole time, if I'm just going to keep it short and sweet, that no matter how much everybody hates Daniel Levy and the sports stuff he didn't do at the club and the way he fucked up in so many ways and this and that and everything else, he definitely got the business right on a few things. And basically, the only reason Tottenham was able to go out and do what they've done the other day and swing it about with the money is because of Daniel Levy. The only reason that this club could actually become a powerhouse in football and keep up there with Man U, Liverpool, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Munich and everything, with the revenue that this stadium brings in and the revenue that Spurs bring in, is purely because of Daniel Levy. So if we do actually have a future at this club, it is because Daniel Levy has built the gun. It is because Daniel Levy has put the blueprints down and got the deals down. That is basically what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not giving him excuses. I'm not giving him that. I'm just trying to get to the side where there's two sides to a story here. And if you're going to grill him for everything, surely he's got to get some credit as well. If these new people want to take it further, they can only do it because Daniel Levy has created the FFP and everything else.
Yeah, so I've always said, right, that for me, my biggest issue with Levy was the fact that he didn't show the sporting side of the club ambition, right? So basically, I've always said that if he changes, or if the governing body changes, right? Not changes as in someone else comes in, but if he changes his ways and starts spending money, then I especially me as a foreign fan, right? Because I'm not based in UK. I don't go to the stadium. I've been there only once, right? I'm not hit with the ticket prices. I'm not hit with the prices of burgers or beers in the stadium or whatever, right? I'm not from Tottenham. I'm not subdued to the gentrification of the area or whatever, right? I'm not part of that. I'm a foreign fan. I just watch Spurs because I like the club and I want to see it succeed in the sports side of the the whole company, right? Let's put it that way. So I've always said that if he shows ambition on the pitch and if he brings in players, I have nothing against Levy, because I think he created a healthily run, from the business side of view, a healthily run club, right? And I had no issues with that. I actually, I don't want to say that I am not proud of it or anything, right? But I am happy that, I am happy that I don't have to worry about the existence of my club, right? I'm happy that I don't have to think about PSR and all this shit, right?
We're stable, basically.
Yeah, that's it, right?
Extremely.
I laugh at Villa and Newcastle fans now because they keep whining that we have the money to spend, right? But I kind of get them, right? I kind of get the frustration because they have it the other way around. Sports-wise, they do the right thing, right? They succeeded. Villa won the Europa League. Newcastle won the Carabao Cup, right? They broke the trophy droughts. They qualified to Champions League, right? They did everything right, yet they can't spend because they didn't, like 20 years ago, they didn't think about preparing for the financial stability, right?
It wasn't just
and they are not based in London, right?
It was the way, yeah, you're right there. But with Villa, it's the way they spent their money recently.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
Right. They spent so much of their money on fucking wages and loan players that it totally fucked them over for everything else.
Exactly that. And me as a Spurs fan, I don't give a fuck, right? Like I've always said, we can spend whenever we choose to. We just never chose to spend, right? And this was on Levy. This part was on Levy, in my opinion. This is something that I held against him, and I've said that if he doesn't change his ways, we are going to get relegated because the fucker didn't spend any money on quality players, right? And unfortunately for him, like for his side of the story, he won't be the one to reap the benefits of the 25 years of work he put in to make us stable. But do I really care? No, I am a Tottenham fan. I'm not a Levy fan or Inic fan.
Exactly
or
that.
Whoever, right?
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't care less who owns the club or who runs the club. I just want pro players.
Isn't it funny?
Isn't
it funny? 30 years ago, nobody gave a shit about this stuff.
Yeah.
Internet was in its infancy. Nobody could tell you who was in charge of a club, just that there was money there to spend and people showed up at your club. You found out of a transfer on teletext or in the paper the next day, you know.
Yeah.
Now with social media and everything everywhere, everybody knows what they've had for dinner, what they've had for breakfast, what time they took a shit, basically.
Yeah. So, Corey, if I can quickly summarize, because I know I've been going for a bit, but I quickly want to summarize. I was Levy out, right? And I am happy that he's gone because he was risk averse. He didn't want to spend. He didn't want to spend more to achieve more, right? And I have like a brilliant example of the Speedway club that I follow here in Poland, which was really stable. We have the biggest stadium in the league. We have the most match day revenue, but like a decade ago or 1.5 decades ago, we had owners that didn't want to spend, right? They didn't want to sign contracts with the best players, even though we had the financial capability to do so. And these same owners got us relegated like 6 years ago.
It destabilized that club, and now they're nowhere to be found.
No, and actually, after they got relegated, they realized, fuck, we have the biggest stadium, we have the financial capability, let us rebuild. And last year, we won the Polish championship, right? So these are the same owners. The ownership didn't change. These are just the guys that they changed their mentality. And like 6 years ago or 10 years ago, I was against the ownership, right? Because they didn't fulfill the potential that the club had. But now they do, and now I'm all for it, right? Like I love every single rider that we have. I love everything about my Speedway club, right? And I love the ownership for the fact that they brought me this joy. So I'm the same with like Tottenham and their ownership, right? I was against Levy because this club has the financial potential to be one of the biggest clubs out there, right? I've always said it. Like we have the financial potential to be City or be Real Madrid, of course, without the history, right? They have the.
That's only since the stadium, though. Yeah, that is only since the stadium.
Yeah, obviously since the stadium, right? Since the revenue streams came in, but right now we have the potential, and finally someone realizes the potential of the club that we have there, and that's it, right? So I was Levy out for my reason, but if Levy changed and Levy did, if Levy was in charge right now, and we were having the window that we are having right now, I would be saying, good job, Levy. That's finally you are doing your job, right?
I don't think Levy would have got these jobs done because the problem was he was too much of a shrewd businessman, and he would have still tried to save £5 million. That was one of his biggest problems. But my whole point is that the only reason we can actually go and swing it about now is because Daniel Levy made this. And whether you like him or not, which we all wanted him out on the sports side and everything, and yes, it got held back and everything else. But technically, when that stadium was built, COVID happened and everything else, slowed everything down for 2 years. And we still had to bring in a certain amount of revenue before we could start throwing it about and getting the deals out there and everything else. So was it that the point that we finished 17th and we've done it? Or is it just we can actually do it now? We don't know. Are they just getting us to the middle and going to keep us stable? Are they going to take it further? They have now got the power to take us to the top with the best. And that is because Daniel Levy made that. Mia, how are we doing?
Yeah, not too bad. I can't believe what come out of Corey's mouth, and he wanted them a-holes to win something just so you can. No, that is unacceptable. That is wash your mouth out with bleach, not just with soap and water.
I'll defend my point. I will take my Tottenham hat off as a football fan.
I never take my Tottenham hat off when it comes to them
and the
arseholes.
coefficient to prove
I
that
don't give a fuck.
to prove that this league is the best league in world football, that players want to come and further this country
I
even
do
better.
not give a fuck. I'd never want them arseholes to win anything. You should wash your brain out and never ever take your Tottenham cap off when it comes to them arseholes, man. Never, ever, ever. I hate them with a passion. I would never want them to wish them to win anything. I hope they sincerely foul at everything. That's how I feel.
I hope they don't exist anymore.
No, because then we wouldn't have the rivalry. I kind of like it. But anyhow.
Yeah, I suppose so.
I'm so passionate about it. I can't understand anyone who does this, like licking their arses. Oh, I would
not
want them to
licking their
win.
arses.
Yeah, but
I'm saying for the
you want them to win something. You want them to win
the benefit of this league. The benefit of the league.
I don't care about the benefit of the league.
More
I don't
coefficient,
care.
which brings in more teams to that competitions.
Again, I don't fucking care because I don't care because I don't like them. So
10th, which means a team like Brentford get in.
I like PSG better than Arsenal.
Yeah, PSG are always going to fucking win it anyway. But still,
whoever deserves, whatever places are available, if you get in it, you deserve to get in it. If you don't have the place there, then it's tough. I don't really care. I don't ever want them to win. If it takes them to win it for us to get in it, I'd rather not. I would not want that, even if it was Tottenham. That's
wouldn't. Fair enough. As long as it ain't the Champions League, they got to win. If they had to win a different cup for us to get in the Champions League, go fucking do it, yeah? But as long as it's not the Champions League, they got to win. That's the only one. Because as long as they don't win that Champions League, they are still basically on our table because they've won everything and we've won, technically, we've won more cups than them, like different cups as such, yeah? But they've won more overall than us. But they still ain't on there with them big boys until they win that fucking Champions League.
Yeah, that's what I like Jason. Jason Cundy said that. He goes, "You're the bridesmaids.
I've been saying it for years.
You're out in the with the bridesmaids. We're sitting at the front table."
Exactly that.
Another reason why
Mia,
the one up on
with everything I've said, Mia. If you've heard what I've said in that, what's your take on
I've
it,
been
basically,
listening.
and your take on the situation?
It's really interesting, Dan, because people obviously say, oh, well, why didn't we do this before? Because then we could have done something better before and been not in this position in the first place. And I do understand it. But the point with Levy is that, see, a lot of people put a lot of stuff on his head. Like they say, well, because he was penny pinching. No, he didn't hold the purse strings. The people above him held the purse strings.
Yes.
Let me tell you, they held the purse strings.
That's what I said, yep.
I think that a lot of people put that on him because he was sort of like the face. So he got the brunt of actually what people more really peed off about with the Lewises, because the Lewises are the ones that controlled it. I think now that they realised that we could have got relegated, I think that's given them a kick up the arse. With Joe Lewis a bit out of the picture, obviously the kids are putting air quotes, they obviously take it like a little bit differently and feel differently because now they're thinking their asset's going to lose value, so they have to make sure that it doesn't lose value. So there's different reasons and factors, and I don't think that Levy was really the main person, because when people say, right, we didn't get this player, but don't forget all the players he did bring in. He did bring in some absolutely exceptional talent that we brought in, ended up being very talented players. So a lot of people concentrate on the things he didn't do, not the things he did, but he didn't do well in negotiations. He was an absolute pain in the arse when it comes to negotiations.
Ferguson hated him with a passion.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously,
away from him.
Obviously, that's obviously something that we all accept, that he was an absolute nightmare and he wouldn't have got the deals done that got done because of the way that he does like to negotiate. But Joe, what? All of this has been because he followed all the rules and because he managed to think ahead of time and think that we need to have a bigger stadium with more money coming in to keep us stable and for us to be a self-sustaining club. So he thought ahead about that, where other clubs obviously haven't done that. So you have to give him plaudits for that.
Yep, I totally agree. And the bit I agree with as well is I honestly believe he fucked up many a times, yeah. But I do actually believe personally, and none of us are ever going to prove this until somebody with their little ITK comes in and tells us otherwise. I honestly believe that at times he just had to deal with the revenue that Spurs were making at the time and maybe the bit of pocket money he got from upstairs. Because at the end of the day, even though he is part of ENIC as such, he is the one that sits at the table, gives his opinion, and that's all. It was Joe Lewis that it was up to him whether the money came down or not. And also down to the FFP and all that shit when it came into it. Maybe more money could have been pumped into Spurs to what we could spend. Yes, I believe that, yeah. But if it don't come from the top, what was Levy meant to fucking do?
Yeah.
And there was the man above him, and I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to open this up as a business thing. That maybe he wasn't such a fucking tight prick and everything, and that maybe he just didn't actually have the money to work with at times.
I've got an analogy for that. Who do you blame, the puppet or the puppet master?
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. That is a fair point.
Do you know what baffles me, Dan? What baffles me is you're saying all the right things about what he did and, you know, who's to blame and who's not to blame, right? But what baffles me is if he was so good at his job, why have they sacked him?
I'll tell you why.
The reasoning hasn't come out yet.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. I think what happened, again, it is think. Whether Levy was part of the plan or not, I could even believe he was part of the plan, yeah? Because one thing you can't take away from Levy, he was thick-skinned. I mean, to have a whole state, like, to know how hated that man was, death threats, everything, you got to give it. He had the bollocks to do his job. Like him or not, he had people wanting to shoot him in the head, and that's no exaggeration, yeah? If he would have walked down the road in Tottenham, he would have been dead, and that's all there is to it. No ifs, no buts, yeah? What I think might have happened there is one of two ways. I personally think that the club was at changing point where they knew they had to spend the money, or they knew they now had the power to spend the money from the past 4 years of the revenue bringing in, where 2 years held us back of COVID, yeah? I reckon they threw him under a fucking bus. When I've spent the money, now all of a sudden, yes, ENIC 2.0, we're going somewhere. I love it. It's all changed. I like this. I like that.
That's your opinion of how it is, yeah?
I'm giving you my opinion.
We don't know the real reasons yet. That's what I'm saying.
No, and we never will, Ellie.
No.
I'd take it back further when Cullen left.
Or the other thing, is I reckon Levy might have actually been part of that because he is actually shrewd enough to accept to just get thrown under the bus. He's accepted it for 25 years. And was like, yeah, if you go and chuck me under the fucking bus here and I lose my job, whatever, you go out and spend that money, them Spurs supporters will shut the fuck up and change it.
Yeah, it's true. Do you know when he was on the overlap?
That's what I think happened. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. When he was on the overlap, he knew he was going. He knew he was going to get the boot because he said that you're going to miss me when I'm gone.
No,
they're all going to miss me.
You're going to No. He said you're going to appreciate me when I'm gone.
Yeah.
Can I just address what Scott said? Scott has actually, you've used examples of clubs that were already bigger than us in the first place, like a Liverpool and Arsenal, who did follow the rules, but they were bigger than us anyway. Yeah, Chelsea and Man City cheated their way. They cheated with everything they got. They did cheat. And I don't think there's anything to be proud of in that fact. I know that Dan obviously don't care because he thinks that cheating, if it gets you where you want, that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, but they did cheat to get there. So the two examples that did follow the rules have always been, they've been bigger the clubs than us, and Man United as well. So they're not very good examples. What I'm comparing us to is the clubs that we're in the same bracket as, like an Aston Villa, like an Everton, like a Newcastle.
That's a very good point.
So I think that's what we're more comparable to, and we're still ahead.
Pep had another year on his contract, but he's left.
Yeah.
So
well, what gets
that's a bit of a strange one.
Oh, let Ellie finish.
Sorry.
No, it's just because he had a year on his contract and he's left. It's a bit of a strange one because Pep doesn't walk away from anything, right? He loved being at Man City. It's just a weird one. Maybe he knows something that we don't, and they are going to get put with a lot of fines and point deductions and that. Because there's been speculation that they're going to get a massive point deduction, and it's going to make them get relegated. So, well, nothing's happened so far, and we're only a month, 5 weeks away from the start of the season.
And what did Chelsea just get?
A tap on the wrist,
It's
£10
a
million.
£10 million fine.
Yeah, and the other thing they got was a ban for a season from buying anybody when they didn't really need to buy that many in that, and they still had a respectful season as such. You know, it didn't really. But Aston Villa are going to get fucking absolutely spanked here for what they've gone and done, isn't it? How much is the fine?
90 million?
I think it's 90 million so
90
far.
million, yeah.
So far, that's if they don't bring in these new rules for every point over the percentage that they are, another 6 million taxed on top.
Didn't Everton get bent over for like 40 million or something, right? Yeah, they had to pay Burnley or something, right? Yeah,
I think that was a different thing. I think
that's also
sustainability rules, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Scott, the thing is that you're saying they're smaller than us, but they're the clubs that we're in the bracket with. We're not in the bracket of the Arsenals, the Liverpools, and the Chelseas, that Man Cities. Like, we're not, and Man United. Man United and Liverpool are humongous clubs, and
they're more successful than us.
And so they're not actually smaller clubs. They're the club that we're in the same bracket of. And I think we're probably slightly better than Villa because of what we've done as an actual like fan base, our club, how big we are. But they've actually won comparatively near to us, and Everton have won titles many more than us.
Actually,
So have Aston Villa.
I'll put in your chat.
We've won more.
Yeah, we've won more overall, but they've won the bigger ones in terms.
That's right.
But
exactly.
They've won 6 of their 7 league championships in the 1800s and 1. Well, 5 in the 1800s and 1 in the 1900s. So it was
the way it goes is when you look at it, Man U and Liverpool are equal, They've both won the league since it started 20 times. Arsenal have won it 14, Man City have won it 10. Everton have won it 9. Aston Villa have won it 7. Sunderland and Chelsea 6. Newcastle, Sheffield Wednesday 4. Wolverhampton Wanderers, Leeds, Huddersfield Town, Blackburn Rovers 3. Preston North End, Tottenham Hotspur, Derby County, Burnley and Portsmouth 2. This is why nobody will ever change my mind that we have ever been a big club. Big clubs win leagues. If you go and want to put it on a point scale of, say, for instance, you class the league at 15 points, the Champions League or Champions Cup at 20 points, and the FA Cup at 5 points, whatever way you want to do it. If you was to do it in a point scale there, we are totally underneath Aston Villa and Everton.
And Forest, probably.
I think it's inaccurate to say we were never a big club, Dan, because
we was never a big club.
In the
big
60s,
clubs win the leagues. We won the league twice. I'm sorry, Ellie. 2 leagues back to back does not make you a big club.
No, I don't mean that. I mean we won a lot of trophies, and if you take the UEFA Cups as well that we've won in Europe, we have been a big club from the 60s because we did the double, and that no other club had done the double for 64 years, and that was harder to win the double, and we were a record-breaking club as well.
Ellie,
we scored 115 goals. Nobody is, and we had top players.
Could you lower your microphone a bit, Ellie?
Oh yeah.
Could you lower your microphone a bit? Sorry, that's a bit loud.
That's better. Right, we had top players at our club as well. Like we've had the greatest ever striker that England have produced.
That's too much done.
We've got heritage. We have got heritage in terms of being big. In terms of winning the trophies that you say consistently, no, we're not. We're not a big club. But we have got football heritage, and we have been. We have been big in certain periods.
Yes,
can I bring one point?
Go on, Mike.
And very admired as well for our football.
One point I would bring to the discussion is, I think there is a difference between a big club and a historic club, right? Because like back in the 60s, I think you could argue that Spurs were big, right? Or 60s, 70s at that point in time, right?
We won 8 trophies in that period.
Yeah, let Mike finish what he's getting at.
Yeah. So my point is that back then we were big, right? But we lost the status of being big because we didn't continue to win big trophies, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing I would apply to Everton, Villa, and Newcastle, most likely, right? That at the start, Everton were one of the biggest clubs in the 80s. Was it 80s?
Everton were better than Liverpool all day long for a while.
Yeah, that's my point exactly, right? That back then they were the bigger club in Liverpool, right? Please, all the Scousers don't kill me for saying that, right? If there are any in the chat.
It's true.
But it is true.
At that point, there
were.
Anfield was originally Everton's ground. Let's not forget that.
Let Mike finish.
Yeah, but the point is that back then they were big. But back then we were big, but we lost the status of being big because we didn't win, right? So right now, I you know that we are the same in this point, right? We are not a big club right now. Big clubs win leagues, big clubs win Champions Leagues, right?
Yeah.
And on a regular basis. On top of that, because Leicester are not big because they I don't know to fluked, but not in a sense that they didn't deserve it. But let's be honest, it was like 1 in a 3,000 occurrence that they won the league, right? So Leicester are not big, but Chelsea are big, City are big, Liverpool. Even with Liverpool and Arsenal, sometimes I was like, yeah, they are big. Historically, they are big, right? But they had like 20 and 30 years of title-winning drought, right? Liverpool were winning Champions League, so that's a bit of a different thing. But Arsenal, like in the 2010s and 15s, they were big. Obviously, they are a big club, right? But they were starting to lose that prestige of
because
being
of their stadium.
Club.
It was
exactly
their
stadium, right. The stadium and everything, right? But they were Arsenal were becoming a laughing stock, right? Slowly, but with each passing year that they didn't win the league and they didn't win the Champions League, and then they all hold like top 4 trophy thing with Wenger came and all that stuff, and they were starting to become a bit like us, right? Yeah. But they revamped the whole thing, and right now they are back to being one of the biggest clubs out there, right?
And because still won FA Cups even when they was at their worst.
Yeah, but that's the point that me and you are making, right? That FA Cups and Carabao Cups occasionally don't make you a big club. It's leagues and Champions Leagues, right? And they had 20 years of not winning the league, and they never won the Champions League, so they were starting to lose the prestige. And same thing with us, right? We are not a big club until we win that league more than once, in my opinion. It's not about winning it once. It's about winning it
what I class as big, you see, is different to maybe what other people. Although I think there's like several different factors. So Man United are still I think they're up there as one of the huge clubs with Liverpool, and they've not won a title in a long time, but they're still that huge club because of in name, in history, in fan base size. There's lots of different things. So I would say we're in like the third tier of clubs, like when it comes to how big we are in all of the different factors. So I still think we are a big club in like with those different factors. But yeah, I don't think that takes away from the status, because like a Man United haven't won titles in a long time. I still think they're like a humongous club. So I think they're
biggest in the world.
Yeah, so I think that still is applied.
But they have lost a lot of. But Man U. Yeah, but this is what I talk about history, where to a point history becomes irrelevant. Yeah, history is always going to be on a club. Yeah, but when you ain't done fuck all for 20 years, your history is irrelevant. It means
exactly. It means
right. Nothing. Now, other people, yes, history is the club. This I understand that, but what player is going to come to Spurs because we won the fucking Europa Cup in 1984? What player is now going to come to Spurs because we won the Europa Cup? They're not. History is irrelevant. Unless you're consistent with it.
Yeah, in this day and age it is.
History for me counts for about 2 years. And then if you do nothing after those 2 years, your history's bloody irrelevant. No one gives a shit. I mean, why has Tonali actually come to Spurs? Be real. Money talks.
Let's be honest. Money and Zerbe maybe, right?
I have argued this point for 3 years with certain people on here, yeah? And I have said wages is one of our biggest problems. And I have said one of our other biggest problems is we just don't put the fucking money on the table. Money fucking talks. Everything on this planet has a price. It's not always money that's the price, by the way, but everything has a price. Like it or lump it. Money makes the world go round. What did we go and do with Fernandes? Man, you were willing to pay 65 or something and put 30 on the table. We just said, you know what? Shut up. There's 45 million up front, and we'll pay the rest that, and we'll also give you another 50 on your wages. Game over. Money fucking talks. Players these days are more mercenary than they ever were, whether people like that or not. We ain't got John Terry's anymore. We ain't got Matt Letizier's anymore. We ain't got, I mean, who else do you want to bring into this? We ain't got Steven Gerrard's anymore. And players and Mabba and stuff. You ain't got players that really love their club anymore. Yes, you've got a few out there, but these days
Kane was the last one. Kane was the last one. These days, much, right?
It is money orientated at the end of the day, and with a bit of money, you can turn someone's head, and nobody can ever look me in the face again on YouTube and tell me that money don't talk.
It's like that old Ted DiBiase saying, isn't it? Everybody's got a price.
Yeah,
everything.
Exactly right. Like you've always made this point, Dan, right? And I've always back you on this one, right? Like there are certain situations where, like, of course, there is like then if you have infinite money, then you will always be able to buy someone, right? But let's just say we were in a war with Real Madrid, right, for a player, and Madrid wanted to pay the player 50k less on wages, but they are so big, right, that the player could possibly choose them even if we offered better money, right?
Yeah, it's understandable.
With United,
but that's Madrid.
I'm making a point, right? That with United and with the Fernandes situation, we decided to pay more on wages, right, and we decided to pay more up front for West Ham, and you turned the player's eyes, right? If we went in there and offered the same thing as United did, right, exactly the same like offer to West Ham and exactly the same wage for Fernandes, he would be a United player right now, right? But because we slapped the dick on the table, right, and said, look how big it is, right? Please appreciate it. And Fernandes was like, Fernandes was like, damn, that's big, right? And decided to choose us. And this is the point,
what?
Right?
This reminds me, right?
Exactly. It won't work all the time, but it will work.
But if you put the money on the table, put your fucking money where your mouth is, you do stand a chance. But then obviously if Real Madrid come in, or like with Semenyo, City comes in, if the player wants to win things, he's going to be there. But you ain't going to get nowhere unless you put the money on the fucking table. Sorry, Ellie, go with what you're saying.
No, this reminds me of something that's going to probably make you all laugh, hopefully. Right, so my brother used to work at Harrods, right? And he said, come in and visit me, El, and I'll give you some freebies. So I went, and there was all these gentlemen with loads and loads of money and had loads of women with them, right? It's like anything in life. If you've got the money and you slap your dick down, like Michael said, you get the woman, right? And in our case, we got our man because we bumped up the money. We said, we're going to pay you X amount of pounds. When we lost out to Semenyo, right, we offered him more money, but he decided to go to Man City because some players have got the ambition to lose 50 grand. You know what I mean? They don't care about the 50 grand. They've got the ambition. Well, I'm not saying Tonali's not ambitious. I'm saying that we offered him such a lucrative deal, and Fernandes as well, that they couldn't refuse it. And like you say, a lot of the time as well, Dan, which I like, you say some players are mercenary.
Yeah, a lot of players. I think more players are mercenaries than not. The other thing is with it as well, is when it comes down to it as well, that I think some people seem to forget. And people tell me, yes, but you got to make the deal with a player. You got to make this. I know all that. No shit, Sherlock. I know that stuff, yeah. But if you don't make the deal with a fucking club and you don't put the money on the table for the club, you ain't getting the player no matter what he fucking says.
I love that.
So if I go and talk to the player, make the deal with the player, everything else cushy, his head's turned, all that. But I do not put the money on the table for that club. It ain't happening. And then if the club next to me is willing to go and do that, like we just did with Man U, no matter what we do, that player ain't coming to us unless he decides to start throwing a bit of a tantrum, and he's big enough to throw a tantrum. And some players are big enough to do that, yeah? But, you know, at the end of the day, if I'm doing business, I'm going to lose my best player. One of you comes in and offers me 80 million for him. Okay, yeah, but I want 50, 60 up front. Okay, we're having a talk. And then a smaller club as such comes in and says, right, there you go, there's 70 million on the table, and we'll give you 20 million on top, and 10% sell on clock. Like, mate, get the fuck out of my face and talk to you now.
Yeah.
That's the deal. That's the
Is
deal
there
he's offered
shirt?
me. Are you going to match it? No, we're not.
Yeah.
Right, fuck off. It doesn't matter what the player says.
Right.
It doesn't
It's
matter what the
true.
player, because
And it's also their agents as well, guys and girls. It's also their
Agents
agents.
want the
Their
money
agents
as
are
well.
mercenaries as well.
The agents take a cut from the transfer as well, so the agent's sitting there with a smile on his face, like, "Yeah, it's just gone for 80 million. I get 2-3 million out of this, like that."
Yeah, they're laughing away all the way to the bank.
Count that to the bank. No tax paid.
I mean,
I
Scott,
think
you can say
on the
yes, they are.
the
They're
fee
meant
they
to be
can
putting the
get.
cap on them. Yes, and it's getting. They're not liking it. Scott, you can say like we did offered more money to Semenyo. Yeah, right. But then here's your proof. We just done it. We just done it with Fernandez. We just done it with Sonali.
It doesn't work all the time.
No, of course not.
It doesn't work all the time, but my point is that you will turn enough heads, right?
Yeah.
Where you will find good players that will choose your club because of the money that you offer, right? Like the point is, right? The point I wanted to make with the Real Madrid comparison, and Semenyo is a good point too, right? There are certain situations where the pool of the club and the prestige of the club that is rivaling you is far bigger than yours, right? So the player will choose like a financially worse situation just for the prestige of playing for that club, right? That's the point I wanted to make with Madrid. You can make the same point with City, with Arsenal, with Chelsea, with Liverpool, with Bayern, with Barca, and a couple other clubs, right? But for me, there comes a point where if the player doesn't really give a toss which club he plays for, right? Whether it's United or Spurs, right? And we offer the player 50k more per week and London and all that stuff, right? But just
London does attract as well.
Yeah,
London does attract.
Especially Fernandez, who was a West Ham player, right? So he doesn't have to move his family.
Madison's wife wanted London.
Yeah, but with Fernandez even, right? He doesn't have to move his family. He doesn't have to find new schools for his children if he has any. He's 21, right? But you get the point. Like, there comes a point where money will talk, right? And I think we never tested the waters under the previous like regime of Levy, right? We always were the club that tried to do the fucking 40 million plus 10 million add-ons and 5 million if this happens and 10 million if this happens. And there was Liverpool who came and slapped the dick on the table and said, here is 60, take it or leave it, right? And the club were taking it. That was the case, right? And this time, I think for the first time in a long time, we actually did the reverse, where we slapped the dick on the table and said, take it or leave it, and West Ham took it, right? And I think, obviously, like with Semenyo, it didn't work. Fair enough, right? That's a counter-argument. But I think, as I said, there are certain situations where it won't work because of how big the club you are rivaling with is, right? But for me, and this is kind of the point that I was making with United, right? When was the last time United won the league? 14 years ago?
A fair while ago.
Yeah, like 2012, I think, or 2013, something like that,
along
right?
those lines. Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah, a while ago, right? So I think there comes a point in a club's history that if you stop winning the major titles, right, you kind of start like degrading. Man United will always be a big club, right? But if they don't win the league for the next 15 years and they have a 30-year, like let's just assume they have a 30-year like title-winning drought, they won't be as big as, let's say, City, who will keep winning the title.
They're not even as big as City now.
Yeah, but
I mean, they might be on the revenue, but
fan base revenue and all that stuff, they are
what
bigger,
they can
right?
attract in players. City can attract the better players than Man
U. Yeah, if City and United fight for a player right now, they are choosing City most of the time. Players, right?
8 times out of 10,
unless they are like childhood fans and it's their fucking dream to play for United or whatever, right? But
and Bomo.
But John,
like Mbumo, right?
Yeah. But one thing I'll pull you up on that, Michael, is that you just said that Arsenal are now a big club because they won it once. well, if Man United obviously have the same drought and win it once, do they then become because like you said, it's got to be continuous titles. Now, I don't think Arsenal, because they've not won it continuously, let's see what happens with them. Obviously, to me, that's not what I count, but if that's how you count it, then I would say then that Arsenal are the same, no, because they didn't win for 22 years and now they've just won one.
But the point I'll make, Ellie, with that one,
They're
and the
on
point
the edge,
I made earlier, the point I made earlier is your history of 5 years ago is fucking irrelevant, and your history of 10 and 20 and 30 years ago is totally irrelevant. But what you've done in the past 2 years is totally relevant. So what Arsenal have done last season is not to anybody, yeah?
No, it's not to anybody, Dan. I don't think that's true. I think that's
to any player that is going to look at the Premier League, they are going to say, right, in that aspect, Arsenal won the league last season. So their history of last season is going to be relevant on their pulling power, yeah? Not their history relevance of 5 years to 10 years and that. Their history of what they did last season. But if they do fuck all for the next 2 seasons and finish 5th, what they won last season is going to be totally irrelevant. Do you get where I'm coming from?
I mean, I don't agree with that. I think that someone like Chelsea's still got pull, because even if they've not won leagues, because I think there's certain teams that just do have that pull of what they've won as well. Even if it is like to you, what you class as irrelevant, I still think that it's still relevant to certain players, because players want to go. Like, look at what's the player that went to Man United because he wanted Man United because he was a Man United fan. So there are still players.
Well, there you go.
But
that's a
so
fan,
there are players that are out there.
That's a fan, though. Yeah, but he purely went to the club because there was a fan. Who is genuinely going to go to a club if they are not a fan?
I think both can be right. Heritage of a football club and the status of a football club and the fan base and everything is rounded around why you are a big club, right? Because it's not. I agree with you to a point, Dan, about what you won last season or the season before, the 2 years, because players think like that. But there are players out there that love the heritage of a club. That's why Real Madrid have got a fantastic heritage in European competitions. They've won it 15 times, haven't they? Right.
14,
Without
15,
that, you take that away and they just won their leagues, right? But they've got heritage. That's what. I get that. But Ellie, that's what Jose was talking about Man City. I don't know if you saw his video he did. He goes, this is football heritage. And he said, he made a poignant statement. He goes, look where Man United players are playing now. If they play, he said, because they've lost that pull because they're not consistently winning the leagues. Yeah. So I do get your point.
Yeah. And if that happens, it does... Unless the player actually supports the club to an extent, yeah. Why is he going to go to the club that wins nothing for 20 years? Or is he going to go to the club that is just considered as come second about 4 times and now just won the league, which is now makes them more pulling power now than technically Man United. But
and you're also going to have the mercenaries.
Yeah, it's also you're going to have the mercenaries out there, like we've just had with Fernandes and Sonali, basically, if we just offered the bigger money and got the deal. Man City and Arsenal wanted him as well, but they just didn't put the money on the table that we did. Simple as that. Fernandes, if it would have been offered to, if they would have offered the same money and it would have all been matched and the same wages, who knows? He might have gone to Man U, but we swung the bigger one and we got what we wanted. The player could have turned around and said, like, I don't want to go there and I ain't going there. West Ham would have still maybe had to sell because of the situation they're in, but he blatantly turned his head because of the money.
But then by your metric, City haven't won the league for 2 years, so then that's obviously there. Like, so I'm saying, like that's what I said. Like, I think 2 years is probably a really short period of time to judge a team whether they've still got that thing where they're seen as a team that's a winning team. I feel like that's.
I get what you mean, but right, okay, but if you don't make the Champions League for 2 years, people are going to look at that. Like I said, who gives a fuck that you won the FA Cup 3 times on the trot and finished 11th? Nobody cares. Players don't care. The FA Cup these days is pretty much irrelevant, yeah? What does it get you? 3 million. Yes, it puts a cup to your name. It's nice. It gets you nothing. What gets you further? What gets you better players? 3 years on the trot in the Champions League? Or 3 years on the trot winning FA Cups, finishing 11th?
I think it depends on what club you are, because we didn't get any better players just because we was in Champions League.
No,
and when
but
City first come along,
what gives you higher FFP? What's going to
But
give
I
you higher
don't care
FFP?
about. But I don't care about the
But that's
FFP.
spending
But
power, Ellie.
the,
Well,
the
you
thing
should. It's
is, the
spending
way.
power.
But the fact is that the way I see it is that when City first come along, they were winning cups. There's people like
No,
Klopp
they
took
didn't.
cups.
No, they
Yes,
didn't.
they
No, they
did.
didn't.
They did
No,
win
City
cups.
came. No, they did not. City came out and slammed hundreds of millions on the table. Got one of the biggest Brazilian players out there at the time because there was no FFP balls. They won jack shit, threw the money about, and then started winning the cups and that. So
Well,
they did not get players in because they won cups. No,
but
they did not.
won.
They won the
No,
League Cup in their second year.
Their second year they did, and so they won.
Yeah,
They won.
they
What
won
I'm
the
trying to
League
say is
Cup.
they still took all along. Pep always did win cups. So did Klopp. So did Jose. So I don't know why people undermine winning cups when big managers do want to win cups.
I think you're missing the point on what I'm saying. Yeah, the point on what I'm saying is the reason Tottenham have got FFP is because of a stadium. The reason Aston Villa or Newcastle can't spend is because they don't get the revenue in. And the only way they can really get the revenue in is if they get in the Champions League consistently for 3 or 4 years. Then they've got FFP, then they can bend the rules as such and get more money out. Yeah. That can build your club. What's an FA Cup going to get you? Where's an FA Cup going to be able to make you build your club?
We think about that with City. It took them 3 years before they won the Premier League, but after their takeover, what they brought in 2009, weren't they?
Yeah, 9 or 8, right? It was.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't 8 or 9.
It was 3 years before they won the Premier
Was
League.
it Mancini who won them the first league, wasn't it?
Yeah,
yeah. But look how much money they put on the table. The second they took over, they got. Go on,
sorry, I think there's 2 different arguments here, right? Because for the fans and for the mentality of the squad, winning an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup can be good, right? Mm-hmm. So, like,
I'm not saying it's bad. It's good.
Yeah. So the point is that for the fans and for the players, it might be good, but for the financial well-being of a club,
that's my point.
FA Cup and Carabao Cup are irrelevant for the financial side, right?
Yes.
And like one argument you can make is that if you finish 15th, but win the FA Cup, you get into Europa League, so you get the revenue. But you get the point. Like, basically,
it's still tuppence money.
Yeah,
like Palace.
Like Palace, right? So, like, if you finish 8th and win an FA Cup, financially, it's a much worse position than if you finish 4th and win nothing, right? Which is the whole fucking top 4 trophy thing, right? Like, getting top 4 is apparently a trophy, which fans get pissed about, because for us fans, it, like, on the face value, it doesn't matter, right? Because we don't give a fuck if the club is financially run well on the face value, right? We want trophies. But actually, if you look at it, and that's why I always say, for me, right now, for example, for Spurs, top 4 is a good thing. If we finish top 4 next season, if we finish top 4 next season and don't win anything, technically it's better for us than finishing 15th and winning an FA Cup, right?
Or a Europa Cup. Basically, what you're saying, you're agreeing, and I'm agreeing with you. Yeah. If you want to sit
with
here,
you, and I try to counter
I totally get Mia's point. Yeah, people want to win cups, but I'm sorry, life, but I'm sorry, life just don't work like that anymore. Football is not. Football is not a sport anymore. Football is now more of a business than it is a sport, and I think everyone can agree with that, because the money is just too big. So if I want to build my squad, Ellie, Mia, whoever, if I want to build my squad, make my team bigger, I go and win the FA Cup 3 times on the year, but don't get in that Champions League, it's irrelevant. It don't mean shit, because it ain't going to get me nothing. It ain't going to attract me decent players, and I ain't going to have the bloody money to spend anyway to improve my club. Whereas if I go and finish in the Champions League 3-4 years on the trot, bang, 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 bang. There's over 500 million revenue in just being in those competitions. I can now throw myself about. And the fella who's gone and got more cups than me in the FA Cup, he's totally irrelevant and can't do shit with his club. Look at Palace, look at Newcastle.
Can I argue that, right? Right. So if you win the FA Cup, what do you get into?
Europa.
Yeah, and if you win the Europa Cup, what do you get into?
Right, but you've still, I totally get
You've
you.
got
But
it.
you've
You've
still,
got. Yeah, you
yes,
get
but you've
into the
still made
Champions
jack
League.
shit money.
Yeah,
It's
but
the
you've
back
got to win that,
doorway.
haven't you?
It's the back. It's the cheaper
It's,
way
yes,
of getting
yes.
into it. It's the
Why
back
do you think
doorway
we've
of
done
getting
it?
into it.
Why do
And then
you think
what
we've done
happens,
it?
right? If you don't win the Champions League and you win the FA Cup the next season, so you do double FA Cup, you're in the Europa Cup, so you're only 2 years always away from Europe,
Yeah,
like
but
the
if
top
you don't,
European competition.
but if you don't make that money before then, you ain't going to be able to go out and buy players on the revenue that you get off the FA Cup, and you ain't going to be able to go out and buy players off the revenue
I
that you
agree.
make in the
And
Europa.
also,
But if you win the
think,
Europa, you get in the Champions League. Nobody
yeah, the
gives a
prize
flying
money
shit
in the
about
league
the
is
Europa
good as well.
except getting in the FA Cup, the
Yeah.
Champions League. Why did they put the Champions League on the Europa Cup? Because no one give a shit about it.
Yeah, there's also the prize money in the league. It's quite good for the top four, and then it drops quite drastically from 6 downwards. So if you
No,
finish
it doesn't.
top,
It doesn't
if
actually.
you,
It doesn't.
No, it's from
it's
about
like
10
it's
down.
about 3 or 4 million every position you fall down, isn't it?
Yeah, but the first place gets, I think, 180, and like the 6th place gets like 165 or something like that. It's listen, I know it's 15 million. Like, give me fucking 15 million. That for me, it's a lot, right? But
what's that in the league?
Yeah, in the league, I think
the
winner
gap from 4th place to 17th is about
You have to
30
get
million.
top 4, really. You have to get top 4 or just win the league.
I think,
Exactly.
Listen. I think, right, especially in the Premier League, right, to be good enough to win the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, you are probably good enough to be top 6 in the league. Because if you look at it, like vast majority of the time, it's at least like top 10.
It's one of the bigger clubs. Yeah,
it's one of the bigger clubs. Like, Palace won it recently, and I guess like Newcastle, but Newcastle were like 4th when they won it or something like that, right? So, like, I think that yes, like. I don't want people to like misunderstand me. Winning trophies is the most important thing for a football club, right? But for the club to grow, and especially from the point where we are, which was we finished 17th, barely escaped relegation, right? For the club well-being, it's more important for us to get into the Champions League, because it's, as Dan said, like £100 million on the table just for being in the fucking competition, right?
And that's out without the revenue of every game at home.
Yeah, without
away,
the revenue, the home
wins.
revenue and all the shit, right? And the further you get, the more money you get, and all
every
that
win
stuff,
in
right?
the Champions League, you get 2.5 million. So you get 8
I think
games.
it's more than that.
Yeah,
it's either way, 2.5 and 4 million. It's something silly like that. But you say you win all 8 of the games, you brought in another like nearly 30 million alone.
Yeah, and the further you get in the knockout stage, it's even more, right? So, like, the point is that financially, it's more important for us to be in the Champions League next season, right? But I get it. Like, from the fans' point of view,
you want to win things as well.
As a fan, as a fan, if you gave me a season of 10th Carabao and FA Cup, or 4th and nothing, I'm choosing the first one as a fan, right? But as a like club owner, and from the club's point of view, and for the future of the club, and building the club, like, unfortunately the second scenario is better. Like, but quickly you have to use it as a springboard to become better, right? Because the issue is that so often the clubs just get top 4 and that's it, right? And they just get the money and do nothing with it, right? My point is that you use 4th and you use Champions League as a springboard to become better and better and better and better and better, and at the end, like in like 3 or 5 years, you challenge for the league, right?
Yeah. Go on, Dan. You've been very quiet for a change.
Oh, I heard you before you go. I heard you talking about big dicks. So I thought I'd pop on.
Well, because you ain't got one.
Hubble can't find it.
No, more like because he is one.
Yeah, because I am one. Yeah, but I also have a big dick, so I can show you if you want me. No problem.
No, thank you.
Prize money. The league are quite stingy, aren't they? With the prize money from 1st to 6th. It's not much difference.
Why is it with Cypriots always going about the size of their cock? Like, come on.
Anyway, Dan, on your everything that I've said, I want to hear your side on. I mean, what we're talking about. I don't know if you've watched the show as a whole. Yeah, have you?
I've watched some of it. Some of it I have.
Yeah, well, the main thing I was talking about for the whole show is that even though we despise Daniel Levy with the sport, where he fucked up so much on the football side, we are now actually on the side where if ENIC 2.0, whatever you want to call them, want to go and throw their money about like we just did, there is only one man to thank for this, and that is Daniel Levy. There is only one reason why we are in a place where we have a massive revenue, where we have a massive stadium, where we have a massive income, where we can have a massive FFP and go and throw about 500 million about if we want to. And that is because of Daniel Levy. So whether you like the fella or not, you've got to look at both sides of the situation. I'm saying he has built a blueprint for literally Tottenham Hotspur, for if these owners want to become an elite club, not just a cup winning club, which wins a cup once in a blue moon, but an elite club up there with the big boys. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think with Daniel Levy, I think the biggest problem that fans had with him is the fact that when it came to certain moments that we really could have pushed on as a football club in terms of like the Champions League, in terms of when we nearly won the league at White Hart Lane, and we needed like 2 or 3 players at that time, and we could have probably would have gone on and won the league.
I agree.
And it's those kind of moments and certain things with players where you just feel like you just felt like it was never the full kind of ambition from himself. Now it is hard to obviously tell whether or not it was the restrictions of Joe Lewis and etc. But I will say what I believe anyway is that I think Daniel Levy was given the keys to the kingdom, and to basically let it for him to run it as he sees fit, right? I think there would definitely have been like a little bit of a like a
cap as such.
Yeah, and I think maybe like some kind of like authority or finalization on things from above Daniel Levy, whether that was transfers or whatever was going on with the club from a financial aspect. But I think that he did get given a lot of reins to kind of essentially do what he did, right? Because I don't think Joe Lewis got involved too much in the stadium build or anything like that, for example.
No, he stayed out of all of that.
That's what I mean. So like Daniel Levy basically controlled the club, right? With maybe a very limited or very limited restrictions.
I could believe that as well.
And I think you know, I think the problem with Daniel Levy was that regardless of if he was still here or not, I think actually not regardless, but if he was still here, I think Daniel Levy would not change the way that he is in terms of the way he negotiates, the way his business mind is. I think he will never change that. That is just who he is. So the players that we've signed already, we wouldn't have signed those players. Like I think we would have signed maybe the free agents, but we would not have signed Tonali or Fernandez. No chance.
Yeah, I agree, because he would have tried to do it in such a deal that it just wouldn't have worked. Because it's just him. You don't treat your dog new tricks.
Yeah. Also, Dan, like I don't think Daniel Levy sees that as value for money. Like regardless of even if we had 500 million to spend, Daniel Levy will still go out and try and find the next best thing, and then hope that in a couple years' time that it's going to turn into a superstar, right? And I think that was always the biggest problem with him. I think a lot of people knew with Daniel Levy that it was amazing that from what he did to transform the club from a club that was on the verge of collapse to a team that was in Europe constantly making the money that we were making, basically becoming a self-sufficient Premier League club and one of the best self-sufficient. Well, not just Premier League, but one of the best.
One of the only. We are one of the only self-sufficient clubs in the world.
Not even club, Dan. It's sports business.
Franchise.
Sports brand. Yeah, franchise.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So I don't. There's not many out there that can generate the money that we do, right?
And not have to sell or win things and can still go and throw the money about if we want to.
Yeah. So I think in terms of like you said, like I think in terms of building the infrastructure and the fundamentals, I think I don't know whether or not ENIC would have ever have also kind of do what they're doing now. right? But I think that there's a bit of, it's kind of like certain things happen in life and plans change, right? And I think that's kind of what we're seeing with ENIC at the moment, is the fact that plans have changed because we were on the verge of relegation. So I think that their strategy has changed because of that. So in a weird way, it wasn't that they were proactive about it all. It is reactive to the situation, right? Which is still similar to how Daniel Levy ran the football club, right? But they have been very proactive in the transfer strategy now, right? So if you get what I'm saying, so
do you think then that this could be also looking on it another side, that they're also just sticking to business and don't give a shit about football really, where they've
100%.
taken where Tottenham has been taken literally as far as it can possibly go on the stadium side, unless you give us an extra 30 concerts. It is just literally, he's got the lot. The only way now to get us bigger is to get us bigger on the sports side, to get the bigger sponsors and everything.
Correct. I think that's where, I think that was the biggest problem. Now, I don't know what any of you guys or anyone has heard about the things going on with Daniel Levy and the ENIC family. There are definitely things going on to do with shady shit, put it that way, right? So
what billionaire hasn't got shady shit in his cupboard?
No, not that, Corey. I'm talking about what happened between them, like
the
way they fell out. I'm talking about why Daniel Levy was pushed out of the football club, right? Because shit happened between them. And there's a lot of rumors and talk about I can't really.
I'll add something to that, Dan. I think some of Levy's kick out was because when Cullen was kicked out first, I think that started the catalyst for Daniel to go.
That wasn't really it. It was more about what was going on behind the scenes from a financial perspective. But what I would say is as well, I think Daniel Levy, I think a lot of us knew that everyone always said, right, Daniel Levy, if he could just not do anything related towards the football side of the business, right, that you would love him to stay and just have someone else run that side. But everyone also knew that he was never going to relinquish that control because he is a control freak. So basically, we needed a change, whether that was a new owners or whether that was him. The owners currently there changed their strategy because we were never gonna go to the next level with Daniel Levy. And I think you do have to commend him for what he did, even though to the detriment of the frustrations that Spurs fans have had for so long. But I think it won't be forgotten. But if the club keep acting the way they do the way they are right now, then it will be just a distant memory. And hopefully the bigger times and better times are coming. And but I'm going to caveat that, and I think Dan, you might agree with this. I don't believe for 1 second that ENIC are doing any of this for the fans. They couldn't care less about the fans. All they give a shit about is their asset, right? But it does benefit the fans because, like Dan kind of admitted and said it just a minute ago, the end game is to sell the club. That is the end game. That's what they want to do, right? But the only way that if you then take now, I think the reason why they're investing, because like any business, right? If you're on the verge of collapse as a business, right, and you're about to halve your value of your asset, then what do you need to do? You need to invest into it, right? Just to get it back to a place where it's not gonna have the risk of devaluing, and loss, right? So I think that is why they're spending the money this season. Now, it would be interesting to see whether or not they will do it again next season and how they finish this window. But I will also say that I think that what they're going to do and what their plan is to make this team a top team, challenging consistently year in, year out, right? In the next 3 or 4 years, they want a team that's consistently in the Champions League and consistently in the top 4. Because if that's the case, what happens nowadays in modern football means more money, more TV money, like Dan said, more sponsorships. We might get stadium naming rights, So all of that stuff, right? Then it takes your asset from being 4 billion to 5 billion, and then you're looking at like a profit margin of just insanity. Like it'll be the biggest takeover of any sports franchise on the planet if they decide to sell and a supreme rich billionaire or state fund buys Spurs.
They bought a percentage of Spurs at first and then bought the rest of the club or whatever, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like 29% or whatever for about 20 odd million. Either way, the whole club was worth about 70 million. And now the club is worth over 4 fucking billion.
Yeah.
You know? I
And
mean,
it'll
how
be
can
worth more than if they get all those things that you were saying.
and plus the extra concerts which they're looking at, the extra from 20 to 30 concerts a year.
Yep.
The revenue at this place is just this stadium is an absolute fucking money making
Have you
machine.
guys seen what else we're going to do? We're going to look to get planning permission to put solar panels around the stadium, which means that we wouldn't pay for electricity, and if we have any extra, we can then sell it back to the electricity board and make money on it.
It's like something like fucking 20,000 solar panels on the roof and around the stadium, right?
I think it's 3,000 or 4,000.
Yeah, 3,500. I look because I was talking about it. So basically, we're then going to really boil some more piss because we won't be just getting free electric. We're also going to be making money from this electric that they're all going to cry about. Where do we get the revenue?
They can plug it into my house if they want.
Yeah, Mia's right. They're going to sell it back to the energy board.
Well, it's like if you get the solar panels put on your place, isn't it? You get the free electricity, and then you get the electricity go back to the council when it goes over a certain part, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just fucking mental. I mean, that stadium on its own, it just the only time on a match day that makes more than us is Man U, and that's purely because of the size. But we are literally at the point. If you look at the whole year of the revenue of the stadium itself, we're one of the biggest on the planet. I honestly can't think of another stadium that sort of, if you take the football out of it and add everything to it, it's like when people tell me we're still 800 million in. Oh, fuck off, man. That's tuppence money. Yeah, we have to pay something like 22 or 25 million a year for it. That stadium does that in 3 fucking Beyonce concerts or 4 Beyonce concerts. You know, I mean,
they just had Bad Bunny there, didn't they, for like 3 days?
You know, I mean, yeah.
Oh, what, the failed wrestler?
I mean, look at the fight, the boxing, and everything else.
Yeah, aren't we having like some K-pop fucking like band for 2 days, and it's like 65K, like full stadium.
Yep, record stadium.
So
record for the stadium. Yeah.
I just looked, and potentially we could make from £50,000 to £100,000 sending them electricity back, and we could potentially save 350 between that and 450,000 to save on the electric bill that we have, like that we're saving on.
Jesus, smart money talk.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the solar panels and everything are refunded, probably like state funded or something, at least partially. So
that's the other thing.
Invest like a shitload of money, right?
The other thing Tottenham does is, if I've got the right numbers up here, I mean, the way it says it here is Tottenham as such. Yeah, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium puts over local economy boost of 344 million a year. That's what it does to Tottenham, not Tottenham Hotspur. That is what it does to Tottenham itself.
To the borough of London, that area.
Yeah, basically. And literally every year since 23 to 24 to 25, when we could actually start making money over COVID, it's been 549 million, 528 million, 565 million. Then the extra money we make up to 30 concerts a year, partnership up to the 30, with bloody Formula One for fucking 15 years.
Deals, NFL
deals where there's no other place in the country that you can play NFL, because there's no other stadium that can actually do NFL on there, because ours can turn over and it's made for it. The bloody go-kart track underneath it, everything. It's just fucking mental what this club can actually become.
Do you know what's even more crazy, Dan? Do you know what's even more crazy? They could do like what Man City done with the stadium deal, where or they could do like where they I don't know if it was you that mentioned.
We haven't even sold the stadium.
No. I know, but I mean, like they could sell the training ground back to themselves. They could sell like Aston Villa. They could sell the women's team back to themselves.
Yeah.
They could sell
Chelsea.
the hotel when it's built back to themselves. They could just stupid. They could make hundreds and hundreds of millions just doing that to spend on the team if they wanted to.
Billions, literally, including that hotel and that. It is that is what has been the most frustrating thing about this team, about Tottenham as a whole. But it's more so in the past 5 years, because before we got that stadium, we basically had no right to say we can swing
hydroponics in the car park.
Because White Hart Lane compared to other places was a bit of a falling apart stadium. Lovely place and that, but it was done and dusted. It didn't make fuck all. Without this stadium that Daniel Levy done, we would not be in this position, And we are literally in a position now where I think COVID held us back for 2 years, definitely, And we are in this position now that if these owners really want to, we can literally go out there and challenge Man U and Man City, and then also keep up with other clubs like the biggest, like Munich, like stuff like that. We're not going to start generating the same sort of revenue as Real Madrid until we start winning things, And we're never going to sell ourselves off like Real Madrid. That's not. That ain't going to happen. But the revenue we can just bring in purely with that stadium on its own, and if then we start winning things as well, we can become one of the top 5 clubs on this planet. I believe we have got the potential. We are literally the biggest sleeping giant in football. Does everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
And on that note, I'm going to drop off because I need to go to sleep. And actually, we will get a grant, by the way, for the council if we do get those solar panels, just to piss everyone else off even more. We will get a grant for it.
Exactly.
So funny.
Anyway, I love it. Right, take care, guys.
Take care, Mia. It's a joke. Go on, Dan. Go on, Dan. You were going to say something.
No, I wasn't. I was just go on, Michael.
Quickly about pissing everyone off. I don't know if you saw today, but the club announced that we bought a kid from under 18s or under 21s from Villa, and it's the brother of the Ramsey brothers. There is Aaron and Jacob, I think, and we bought the youngest one, right? And even this, we are boiling the piss in Birmingham because they fucking hate the fact that we can spend money, and we fucking bought one of the kids of them, which I absolutely love.
It's that picture I sent in the group the other day where it's a Bonga horse sitting there crying. And it's just a bloke there with Tottenham. We still got 250.
You know what? Technically, if we want to be honest, that fucking dickhead on TalkSport, and it's not just because what he said about Spurs. I just think the fella's a fucking cock anyway. I mean, fucking hell, talk about spectrum. That's an understatement, what's his name? Just a total dickhead. But I do think he was sort of making a fair point in. It's just not. How are the other clubs meant to do this? Well, sorry, mate. It's a dog eat dog world, and life ain't fair. This is where we go back to Daniel Levy again. And if it weren't for Daniel Levy, we would probably be in a worse situation, in the same situation as Aston Villa and Newcastle, because Newcastle Stadium does make a little bit of money. And Aston Villa, I mean, who wants to fuck off up to Birmingham and do anything?
No one.
To be honest. Yeah, exactly.
Birmingham's the third world part of England. No one wants to go there. You can say that about Brighton too. Brighton, where I live, is a shithole. I live in Whitehawk.
Look, mate, London ain't much better, but it's where the money is at the end of the day.
I'd move to London if I could.
I'm also going to caveat this whole Daniel Levy thing, right? Because he also, of course, contributed towards it. But I think the person that took Spurs to another level, from a global perspective, from a fan perspective, was Pochettino, because he overachieved. The plans they were never the plans to be a team that was going to challenge in that period, right? And even Daniel Levy admitted it himself in the documentary, but he said that was never. It was years beyond where we thought we were going to be at the time, right? So I think that also in itself raised the expectation of the fans, getting to a Champions League final, right? Yeah. And being one of the best teams in Europe from a statistical point of view, having one of the best teams at defenses, strikers, just the first 11 anyway, and I think that also played a role in raising the stature of the club, and I think Daniel Levy's ways were not ready to go into that new sort of category where the bigger teams are when you're trying to compete at that level.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's like what people call a big club. I mean, people looking at different. Yeah, obviously you got to have the fan base and that. If you're going to go all over the world, you are going to see people with more Tottenham shirts than you are going to fucking see them with a Newcastle or Aston Villa or Birmingham shirt. Yeah. It is what it is. Yeah. But I do agree with what you're saying. Also, with us getting in the Champions League final. I mean, look, it attracted Michael. There's your prime example. You, Mike. It attracted you because of what Spurs were doing and how they were playing 8-9 years ago, basically. Yeah. And it did attract people. No two ways about it. And yes, you can thank Poch for that and everything else. But then again, solely when it comes to that stadium and everything else and that, whether people just like the fellow or not, if you're going to slam someone down for everything that they fucked up on, which he did, you've also got to give the credit when it's due as well. And it is mainly down to him that we now have the power, if we want to use it, to go and be in the top 5 biggest clubs on this planet, basically, if we really want to do it.
Yeah, like he set us up for it, basically.
Yeah. I've always said, right? I've always said we are a giant. We are a sleeping giant that doesn't want to wake up, right? Or chooses itself not to wake up. Like
Snorlax.
Yeah, a Snorlax, right? Unless you play the fucking flute, it won't wake up, right? So,
so what would Daniel Levy's
spirit Pokemon?
what would Daniel Levy's flute be?
Wait, I don't want to see Daniel Levy's flute. I don't want to see Daniel Levy's flute.
It is true though, and as all I've wanted to do, like where I've done the first hour and a half, whatever on myself, was just for once be able to portray my image of it, which doesn't make it right or whatever, without someone else screaming down my throat and someone else defending that and someone else doing it. Just for once, I wanted to portray this my way, and then obviously speak to people after that you can give it your way, whatever else. And it's something that I'm pretty much willing to just, it's done, it's dusted, it's over, it's finished. Why have people still got hate for this fella? Yes, it's over. You're not going to change it. But one thing you can't deny is he has given us a future. And his last words were, the fans will appreciate me when I am gone, or won't appreciate me until I leave, whatever, will appreciate me when I'm gone. And as long as these owners now want to do the job, in 10 years' time, maybe a few people will sit back and say, do you know what, fella? Fair play. Because they can put the rest of the time underneath it and we start winning stuff. You can then say, you did actually give us a solid, even though we lost out on a lot, you have actually just made us this big as such. But then if he don't want to do it and whatever else, it shows that Daniel Levy wasn't the main instigator again, doesn't it?
It shows that he was the scapegoat all along.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, that even though like the foundations, as you said, were late, right? There were like certain seasons or certain moments where he fucked up, right?
Yes,
like
definitely.
I get that. Like I appreciate, as I said, and I agree with you, I appreciate the fact that he laid the foundations, right? But I also don't think we had to be as shit as we fucking were for the last 2 years, right?
I agree.
Like he fucked up on that, right? And
yes,
after Ange finished 5th, right? Whatever you thought of Ange, like buying him Solanke and 4 kids wasn't the solution, right? That was a fucking like disgrace what happened in that window, right?
Yeah.
So there are things to point out, like sacking. I forgot who was that. The sacking the manager in the halftime or whatever. Yeah, Joel was sacked in the halftime, right? Like not backing Redknapp, maybe, right? Or like. Even the whole fucking thing of us not buying players for free windows, right? Like not buying a single one, I have issues with, right?
Getting a freebie.
Yeah, I get that we didn't have the money to buy players, right? But not buying a single one was a disgrace, right? Like,
yes,
that's a piss take. So like there are points where, as I said, I was Levy out for past 2 or 3 years because. I felt that we are at a point where we can realize the financial potential, but he chose not to, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because like COVID was over, we were getting the revenue, like everything looked fine, right? Why weren't we spending? Why did we have the piss take of a window that we had under Ange, right? That were things that I had
even
issues
getting in the
right?
Champions League this year. Why was it so fucking diabolical, basically? And that with extra revenue we had that we could have spent. Maybe it just did actually need that bit of time to get running as such.
Yeah, maybe.
I just don't know.
I didn't look at the sheets, right? But at least from a fan's point of view, I think he dropped the ball, right?
Yeah, you expect something.
Yeah, but as you said, like in 10 years, if this new like version of the ownership actually like starts realizing the potential, I will say that it's at least like a big part of it is because of Levy, right? And I am not ashamed to say that, even though I wanted the guy gone, right?
Yeah, so did I. And another thing you can actually argue on it fairly. I mean, I did this for another 10 minutes. I mean, I get what you're saying, Jim. Yeah, he wasted 25 years of football years of your life. Yeah, I get that. But how the fuck were Tottenham, with a little pissy stadium like White Hart Lane, which it did turn into, nearly falling apart on itself, that had absolutely no income revenue in that, meant to keep up with something like Chelsea with the oil money coming in, and City with the oil money coming in, and Old Trafford of what it was of the time bringing it in, and Liverpool at Anfield bring it. How the hell could Tottenham keep up with that? How the hell could we? The only way, and people say, oh, but we got Klinsmann, we got, yeah, and if people go and checking up, there was enough players to go around. Even Southampton still had players like Matt Le Tissier and that, yeah. Even Newcastle had like Les Ferdinand. I'm not saying he was world class, but
fucking Alan Shearer.
You know what I mean? There was enough good
At one
players
point, they had Nicky Butt.
Yeah, there was enough good play. Well, he was the player who had the most potential at Man U, actually, if you read the autobiographies. He was one Fergie thought was going to be great. And if you actually check up on it, back then there was enough quality players to go about that even the small clubs, they might not get a world-class player, but they could get a very good player. Whereas now we are literally at this point where players are just that limited, where I think football's just gone to shit basically on qualities of players, that there ain't just enough good or very good players to go around. I mean, look at the strikers. Go 20 years back and look at the strikers. 25 years back and look at the strikers. Even the poor clubs could go out there and get themselves a fucking Jermaine Defoe. Even the poor clubs could go out. Even the poor clubs in Italy, literally, even like Fiorentina had a fucking Batistuta, for God's sake. Crespo could be thrown about where he wanted to. There was plenty to go about. Whereas these days, you know what I mean? Whereas these days, there is just not, there's not enough to go around, basically. And unless you've got the big money and the big dick to swing on the table, you ain't getting shit. It's just, it's where football has gone downhill. So people say we were that much better then and we attracted better players. Yeah, it's only because there was more players out there to attract. Whereas these days, rate Klinsmann of a modern day world-class striker now, are Spurs getting him? Very unlikely. And that's at the moment. No, because he's already going to be at Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Man City, something like that. Because there's just such a lack of quality players.
Got to look back in the day as well. Like there were decent youth teams out there turning it over, like West Ham, Leeds, Man United were bringing them through, Chelsea. We didn't really do that. You go to Barcelona, Le Messier were always turning over a player. Madrid were always turning over a young player. You know, back in those days, younger players were coming through at a better level as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Whereas nowadays, there are the freaks out there like Yamels, the Payo Casabello, or whatever his name is, the centre back.
But again,
Barcelona
there's still the quality has definitely gone downhill. The only thing that I think is actually annoying then is there was no FFP rules or nothing like that, and we still had billionaires as owners. But there was players to go around, and again, that just shows even if it would have been, we was not a big club. But then again, neither was Chelsea. They'd only just got sold for a fucking pound. Yeah, like £1 that club got sold for.
Bates, the Bates brought him for £1 and then sold them off a few years later. Then Bates took over at Brighton when Brighton were in shit and then sold him off to obviously the owner of Brighton now for a profit. So, you know, Bates knew what he was doing with Chelsea, knew what he was doing with Brighton. He turned their fortunes around and Brighton nearly went out of business in 97. So, you know, that was when I was in the youth team at Brighton at 97. I mean,
that's when that's why FFP was made. FFP was made to actually stop clubs going under, wasn't it?
Yeah, like Newcastle right now are struggling because of FFP. If Newcastle, exactly the same thing happened to Newcastle, but like 15 years ago, Newcastle would be the best club in the world right now because they have the richest owners, and for that period where FFP wasn't a thing, like the PSI however the fuck they are called, right? They're fucking 10 times more, right? Because they are like 100 times richer than the city owners, right?
Like without trillionaires.
Without the regulations, like 15 or 20 years ago, if Newcastle were bought as they were like a couple years ago, they would be fucking buying everyone. And then the FFP would come, but Newcastle would be established at that point, right? Instead, they were bought when FFP was a thing, right? Because of City and PSG and fucking Chelsea, right? And now Newcastle are struggling because of that, right?
So now they need to get in the Champions League consistently for about 4 years to start bringing in the revenue to be able to spend to take it from there. So where's a fucking little League Cup or an FA Cup going to get Newcastle? Nowhere.
Which is
that's why Gordon and Tonali have gone, because they need to sell to be able to make way on the books for them to go and buy cheaper players. Villa have spent 97% of their cap, and the league cap is 80%. Europe is 70%. You can go up to 115% of your revenue, but for every 1% over that bracket, so from 80% to 115, you're going to get charged 6 million for every point over. So
that is why Villa. Yeah, but that's because Villa have been dickheads. Simple as that. Villa have been total dickheads.
And then you see poor little Gabby and Bangalore going, "Oh, why can't we spend?"
I mean, Villa,
club, mate.
Technically, business-wise and that, and fan support and that, Villa are not a bigger club than Spurs, and haven't been a bigger club than Spurs for a very, very, very long time, since the Premier League started, But if you look at their success as a whole, as a history, then yes, they have won bigger things than us. They've won bigger things than Arsenal. They've won the Champions Cup, for fuck's sake, Same as Nottingham Forest won it back to back. But if you want to go by what do you actually call a big club, we are 3 times the size of fucking Aston Villa in that aspect of just like fan base and everything. Again, who wants to go up to fucking Birmingham and support Aston Villa, apart from Aston Villa fans? London is just that much of a bigger attraction, and it is a holdback for the smaller teams. And we were one of those smaller teams. We were one of the smaller teams on their stage. The thing that has taken us out of that stage is blatantly that stadium.
Yeah. And listen, even me as I can give you the foreign fan perspective, right? Trust me, I will find it hard. I live in Wrocław. It's like a, let's say 900k people city, right? Or like close to 1 million when there are students and everything, right? I will find it hard to find many or even a few Villa fans or West Ham fans, right? Or Newcastle fans. But I will definitely find Spurs fans here, right? That's just the way it is. I'm not saying I will find many of them, but I would, but I will definitely find some, right? Of course, it will be dominated by Bayern, Borussia, because of Lewandowski. So a lot of Poles support Bayern, Borussia, right?
Yeah.
It will be Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, AC Milan, Juventus, Barca, Real, or obviously Inter, and all these clubs, right? But I will find more Tottenham fans than Villa, Newcastle, West Ham, right? It's just the way it is. We are bigger globally.
Here it is. I've got it up in front of me. What it says at the moment is estimated worldwide supporters. Real Madrid 500 million, Barcelona 400, and then it is a massive drop. Man United 86, Liverpool 59, Munich 126, Chelsea 50, Arsenal 99, and I know where most of those supporters are. Man City 40, PSG 40, Juventus 30, Tottenham
I just clocked that.
Borussia Dortmund 20.
I'm being sarcastic.
Either way,
all they say about Man United supporters, they say they all live in London.
Tottenham are the 11th most supported club on the planet. We are actually above Inter and AC and Dortmund and Ajax and Port. Aston Villa, I mean, Celtic are actually 20th most supported club in the world. And you don't even see Newcastle or Aston Villa on there. You know, so we have a chance to go somewhere. So I'm going to leave it at that because I'm.
It's like I was going to say just before you go off. It's not just like the motherland home base, is it, for fans? It's global fan base where the league stretches out, where fans like Michael see that team. They're like, yeah, that's my team. You know, I'm going to support them. That's a draw. That they have this player. You know, like with polls with Lewandowski and other teams in Germany have attracted top quality Polish players over the years. They gravitate to those teams. That's my German team. Like my German team is Borussia Dortmund.
I like Dortmund. I've always liked Leverkusen as well. I mean, I've been to Signal Iduna Park a few times and Munich and that. And there is the only thing out there close to Signal Iduna Park. The atmosphere is Anfield.
And then for me in Italy,
that place. But again, the stadium's falling apart. And it's like what Two Marks just says here. I agree. Why don't we just raid Italy? Most of their clubs need exactly. Even Juventus can't even afford to go for the 35 million go. Apart from Como, who both owners are 50 fucking billion, and we could absolutely kill it out there. This is where I ain't getting into the Kingsley argument. Right. Thanks everyone for watching. I know it might have been painful going along about Daniel Levy and everything. I just wanted to finally get my point across. Right, cheers for you coming on. Much appreciated. And I will speak to everybody extremely soon. Take care and have a good night.
Gotta do it hella big, had to run it back again.